That's it. We're live. Today is Thursday, the 6th of September 2018. And it's ladies' night. They're coming. They're coming. Anyway, so far, Patricia's here, our Patricia, and Lucy Lemons. So, hi, ladies. Hi, chat room.
Hello, everyone. This is Lucy Lemons, reporting live and in living color from Palmdale, California.
Hey, hey, hey. Patricia? Patricia, can she hear? Oh, she's put her microphone back on. Maybe she said something. Anyway, we were just very nicely talking when we came on there. There she is. Hello, my darling. Right. She said hello. We were just talking about, what were we just talking about, Lucy?
About sensitivity and how it's okay to be sensitive.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people look at being sensitive as a bad thing. But being sensitive is not necessarily a bad thing, because when you're sensitive, you're able to tap into your soul, into your heart, into your true self and everything. Like when you're a kid, you know, they don't come with filters. They're just themselves. Like, they're sensitive, or they're angry, or they show whatever they feel. And when they tell you, oh, you're too sensitive, you're this and you're that, it's almost like they don't accept you for who you are, or like they're trying to change you and mold you and transform you into something that you're not. Like, you're too sensitive, you should be like this, and you should be tough and rough. But why should you be like that? Isn't humanity supposed to look out for each other? Like, I look at it in the perspective of a woman, because as a woman, I want to take care of and nurture. So I'm going to be sensitive. And what's wrong with that? If all these women were like rough and tough, and if there was no sensitivity in the world, what would the world be without sensitivity? You need that. You can't be you can't look at it as a bad thing, because it's balance. You can't have too much of this and too much of that. I suppose if you're too sensitive, it could be bad, because it hurts your feelings, or it doesn't allow you to do certain things in life. But to have sensitivity means that you're alive, because you have feelings. You're in touch with the source. The source is the mother of the earth. And the mother of the earth loves you. And love has sensitivity. So what could be wrong with that? And that's just what I was thinking, that people need more compassionate communication. They need to be more sensitive, not in a way of like, they always look at it like, oh, you're such a pussy, like, you're so sensitive. And, but, the world needs more love. And if people weren't putting each other down all the time, individuals wouldn't be afraid to show their emotions and their true feelings, because I think that a lot of people are sensitive, and a lot of people are just hiding it, and they're holding back, and they're not themselves, because they're trying to be something they're not. They're trying to live up to something they're not. They're trying to emulate everything they see on television, all these shows that show no affection, little family value. There's not a lot of culture and everything like that. So people are afraid to be sensitive, because sensitivity is something that people make fun of it. So it's like, you're afraid to show your feelings. You're afraid to show your emotions. And if you're afraid to show your emotions and your feelings, and you don't do that, you have a lot of repressed things inside of you. So it should not be looked at as a bad thing to be sensitive. But on television and things like that, you see a lot of promotions. Everything's being promoted to just be wild and crazy and unsensitive. insensitive to people's feelings and to the things that they think. There's nothing wrong with being sensitive. I'm a sensitive person, and it doesn't mean that
I was saying that. I was saying that you're a sensitive person, Lucy.
What was that?
I was saying before we went on air that you're a sensitive person, which led into this conversation, didn't it, before we came on air?
Yes. I am a sensitive person, and I'm okay with that. It used to bother me before when people would say things like, you're too sensitive and this and that, but it's not my fault that I'm sensitive. It's not my fault that I take care of the things that I care about. It's not my fault that I walk around life not like I'm walking on eggshells, but like I'm looking out to not step on people, because it's not nice to do that. The way that I was raised taught me how to treat people right. And the way that I was raised made me into a sensitive person, but had it not been for that, I rather touch someone's heart with my sensitive soul than with my heavy hands or my strength, you know?
That's putting it very nicely, Lucy. Lucy, can I just say that Bling Bling of BS of the ISS is with us, and Roxanne Glen has joined, just so you know that they're there.
Hey, girls. Hi, Roxanne. Hi, Lucy.
Hi,
Karen.
Hello, my
Hi,
darlings.
Patricia. And where is our Miss Steere? She's later than I am.
She's coming. She's messing back from the gym.
I know.
Hello,
she
you
was
lovely
working out
ladies.
at the
Big
gym.
kisses.
You're right, Roxanne. You got on okay then?
All good, my darling. I was just listening to Lucy, so I was just keeping my mute on mic. It was really interesting. Sorry for my delayed arrival. I couldn't get any internet on my laptop, so I've had to come on my phone, and I didn't have Google Hangouts on it, so I had to download it. But I'm here now. But hello, my lovely ladies, and hello to the chat room. I can't see the chat room, but massive love and respect to you all.
Hey, thanks, Roxanne.
Your videos are awesome.
Hi,
I see you out there. That's awesome.
Aw, thank you. Big love to you all, my darlings. Thank you so much. And right back at you all.
Are we frozen? I think we're frozen.
I was wondering if we were frozen. I think I had the same question.
I'm still here too. I'm still here. Karen, you there?
I think Karen's frozen.
Oh, crap. It's not happened again, has it? This happened the other night. And Karen had a load of hassle with her internet. I've had a major internet malfunction with mine tonight as well. It won't let me go on my laptop. I've got 2 PlayStations streaming on the internet and a couple of phones, and my laptop won't go on.
And I've been having trouble too. Isn't that the weirdest thing here in Florida?
Oh, wow.
That is very strange.
Oh, wow. Well, if anyone can still hear us in the chat room, hello to Marilyn Wisby. I'm hoping that you're able to tune in. So, and hello to Cosmic Cat as well, if they're in the chat room. I can't see the chat room just now because I'm on my mobile phone. But massive love to everyone that's tuned in to Karen's show tonight. If Karen's not here, I'm assuming she's got some technical difficulties. So just bear with us while she comes back in. Is Patricia Hurst there? I can see her icon. Patricia,
Yeah,
are you there, my darling? Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
At least one of the original crews here. I've just seen Karen's picture come out, so I'm assuming Karen will come back in, yeah, Pat?
That was so strange.
Should do, yeah, hopefully.
All right, girls. All right. Well, I yield the floor. I'll let Bling Bling or Lucy carry on, and I'll just pop back on mute until Karen comes back on. Massive love and respect to the chat room. Patricia, I'm and Bling Bling and Lucy, I'm assuming you can see the chat room.
No, well,
But
I'm actually, I didn't use my laptop. I'm just using my phone. So I
cool.
cannot see the chat room either, but big hello to everyone in the
Yeah.
chat, of course. Loving kisses to everybody.
Yeah.
Roxanne, have you done any more flat smacking? Because I love
Oh,
that you do that.
yeah. You know what?
Any,
I'm really happy to say that I flat smack on a daily basis. I don't upload content on a daily basis, but I be flat smacking on a daily basis.
so
Went
tell us your
into
more
town.
funny stories. Tell us some of your interesting stories. I'm sure there must be some crazy ones if you do it every
Okay.
day.
Yeah. So really, there's no crazy stories. I mean, I suppose anyone who does activism on a regular basis knows that nothing really too far left or too far right happens. You find out interesting things when you go and do activism, especially when you go to places that you've never been before. Um, um, I haven't really got the funniest or the craziest. I've got some wacky stories about going and doing some activism in London and finding out that some of London isn't actually owned by who you would think it would be owned by. Some of public parts of London are owned by completely different countries altogether, and it's completely privatized. We
Really?
went to a park on Sunday. Yeah, we went to a park on Sunday, and we thought we were going to get taken off within 10 or 15 minutes. I will stress it was a bit more of a social experiment than an actual massive piece of activism. But Trinity 4, an awesome guy called Dave Mannell, he's got a channel called Trinity 4. He was with John Smith Global, and they scoped out a place in South London called Crystal Palace Park. And it's got a really lovely lake and a kind of floating stage in the middle of the lake. However, it's somewhat precarious to get onto the stage. And once you've kind of gone through the Indiana Jones flex to get through the stage, it's got a brilliant kind of metal thing above which projects your voice out. And he had a megaphone and he had a very strong, powerful voice. And Harry had his drones and cameras, and I was live. And even though there wasn't a lot of people there was people walking their dogs, and a couple of people schmoozing through the park. And Trinity 4 was giving it blast on the megaphone, and we left without the police removing us. However, we did see the police on the way out. I'm not sure if they would have removed us, but we did see them. And can you believe there wasn't a load of people there talking to us or watching? I think maybe that whole morning we might have seen maybe less than 50 people. But can you believe the following day, some journalism was written on us, and someone had done an article from a journalism site. So we got reported on by mainstream media. Even
What did
though
they say? What did they say about you?
they called us what was it now? Where I'm on my phone, something militants. We were called militants of some
Militant.
sort. Oh yeah, militants. We were called militants. That just goes to show how mainstream media
Oh my
tries to
goodness.
twist it. So when you said, have you got a weird or a wacky story, or that's probably one of the most recent wackiest ones I've got. It was funny getting sent a link for a news article the following day calling us a bunch of militants.
Well, that's a
I thought,
very
because
strange
militants
word.
really go around telling people the truth with chalk, don't they? It's a really militant thing to do.
That's strange. Well, I know, who is it? Is it, oh my goodness, the gentleman he's been on the New Jersey boardwalk and gotten ticketed for using his
Zoom
camera.
Zoom Truth, I think his name is.
Yeah,
Zoom
for
Truth.
using,
Yeah.
for filming on the boardwalk.
I know. Look how restricted we're getting nowadays. It's like every left and right turn we make, we're getting told, stop, no, don't. Stop, no, don't. You can't, don't go for this. It's like so restricted, isn't it?
Well, it's a police state in America when they start telling you that you can't film when they have security cameras everywhere you look. Makes zero sense. I guess, if they're going to do that, then they better get everyone to remove their security cameras because they're filming 24 hours a day. And that's not fair.
It's like brother, we've got everyone filming us 24/7.
Pretty much. But he's been back out there again. So he's been back out. Oh, Roxanne has now been kicked out. Karen, nice to see you back.
Yeah, I'm on twice, but yeah, it's weird. It's weird.
I've seen myself twice, and then all of a sudden that other image just goes away.
No, I'm on twice because obviously that's the admin panel on the computer.
It's your ego. It's your altar.
I don't have. I can't turn the hanger off from my phone.
Weird.
Anyway, let's just hope we don't get the same problem. Something's going on right now, but let's just say we don't have the same problems as the other night. Anyway, so we've lost Roxanne. That's good. Yeah.
I don't know if it's good. It's unfortunate, but
That's
she'll
what
be back.
I'm being sarcastic there. But,
oh.
Yeah, great. Hopefully she'll be back on in a second.
I'm sure she's gonna log back in. I've been having problems with my internet here in Florida lately too. And I pay for the fastest internet speed, so it makes no sense what's been going on in my household. So who knows? Maybe they're getting switching over to the 5G, and I haven't seen anyone on my street yet putting up the equipment on the light poles in front of my house yet. But I keep watching because Florida's been very active in that, doing it. So who knows? Maybe I'll start being really crazy. I'll live up to my reputation from the globalists. Wear a tinfoil hat on my head. Put that on.
Do you see all the 5G going up, Lucy, around you?
The fight?
5G. Do you see lots of these things going up around you?
Fighting?
5G. 5G.
Oh, 5G. Yes, I've heard about that here in Los Angeles, but they don't have them all over the place. And I don't think they probably could afford them, but they don't have them everywhere. I don't know how many we have here in Palmdale. Well, maybe they haven't gone here yet. I hope not.
Well, they're quite discreet. They usually put them up on a power pole, but they have to have a lot of them. They have to be quite a few of them with quite a close distance in between them for this whole new system to work. Hopefully, well, I know I live on the East Coast, but in the West Coast, like Tampa, apparently they're really leading Florida right now with getting that going. So I guess it won't be long for us too, whether we like it or not. It's coming. Microwave energy. If I start getting weird headaches and stuff that I normally don't get, then I'm gonna know for sure that there's definitely all right, guys. I was being rudely interrupted by a phone call. I just hit ignore. That makes me feel bad.
Yeah, sometimes phone calls knock out the hangout, don't they?
Yeah. But actually, I think one time I did take a call and it didn't even knock me out of the hangout. But I mean, they can leave a message. I think I know who it was. So hopefully they will leave me a message. And
hey,
I'll
Bling
call
Bling,
them back.
as you're hearing, it was one of the questions I was going to ask today. What's all this about that hole?
Oh, geez.
Yeah,
I watched one news report, and what's the guy? I don't even know if he was an astronaut, but he's certainly connected to NASA. He might have been a space tourist. Off the top of my head, I can't remember his name. He was in an interview, and right in the interview on a big screen behind him, they had that infamous hole picture the whole time. And not once did he look over and said, that's actually not the real hole in that photo. So he just kind of went along with it. They never referred to it either, mind you, but I mean, we all know what a hole looks like. We don't need a visual of a random hole to be able to understand what a hole would look like. So I thought that was really strange that he never looked over and said, just to be clear, that's not the actual hole, unless he actually thought it was the hole himself. And when Chris Hadfield posted the hole in the first place, he never said whole example. He just said, made some stupid little joke about it, when there's a hole, up in the space station. So I thought like that's irresponsible. Or did he actually think that was the hole? or did he just research out and find that band, that Christian band's cover album, or I should say album cover photo, and posted it? Why didn't he say it was a joke? In the literal world that we live in, and everyone needs clarification, and everyone believes, what they see. I mean, look at how crazy it became because of him posting that. And obviously that whole, by the look of it, was a lot larger than, like, what was it, 0.008, which is like, what, 2 millimeter hole? Like, that's super, super tiny. Even up, macro photography, you wouldn't get anything quite that large looking. So the whole thing is ridiculous. I mean, I also read that it would have taken 18 days for the astronauts to die if that hole had been overlooked, and air was slowly, being, sucked out of the space station, because it was in the Soyuz. But apparently that is the Soyuz that's supposed to be bringing them back when they go back to Earth. So I guess using some tape and some epoxies is the procedure, where even on, submarines, every single little problem that could ever happen, there are strict procedures that they would follow. And this just kind of proved to all of us that they don't really have any set procedures for, micro holes going into the space station. Just like that one video, Destin Getting Smarter Over Day, where he asked about if there was ever a problem with the shutters. And Chris, or it wasn't Chris Hatfield, it was the British, no, who was it? I'm sorry, I'm really tired today. He said, well, I guess there's a procedure for that. Like, he didn't even know off the top of his head of a procedure if there's a leak. We'll just seal off that area. I guess there's a procedure, he said. It just makes no sense. There should be drills and procedures for everything. I worked on a cruise ship. Twice a week we had to have drills, life emergency drills, going to our muster stations, be prepared, knowing what to do if the cruise ship started sinking. Yet life or death situation, they don't know what, or practice for all of these various things that could happen. Just more proof that it's just complete. It's just contrived. It's children's indoctrination, and it's a joke. So that's how I see the whole thing. I'm not even going to bother making a video about it, because it's too ridiculous to even comment on. And now that they have clarified that it's not the actual hole, apparently there is a interview. I haven't seen it. I've been looking for it, where some astronauts were questioned about the hole, and apparently they were kind of like deer in the headlights. They didn't really have, the right kind of answers that they should have when questioned about something catastrophic happening on the space station. Anyone else's thoughts?
Sorry, I thought I was muted when I wasn't muted.
Oh,
well, there's Patricia Steere.
she is, my darling Patricia.
Hello, sorry to be late. Ugh.
It's okay. I was a little late
Hello,
too.
Patricia and Bling Bling. Hi, and hello,
Hi.
Karen and Lucy as well. Awesome.
Hey, Patricia. Nice to see you. New picture, Patricia, on your icon. New picture.
Yeah, a new picture. It was from the Flat Earth conference that happened in Canada recently. So
I love what you're wearing. Very pretty.
yeah, somebody told me I dress like a nun, actually, as a comment on that picture on Facebook, because it's a high-necked blouse. But you know what? If I dress with a low-cut top, they'd say, you dress like a slut. That's what it's like to be a woman these days with what you wear and social media. You're judged if you cover up, and you're judged if you don't.
Wow, Patricia, we all know you are a fashionista, so.
Well, it could be wearing a T-shirt. Too low cut, you get slammed. If it's too high cut, you're a prude. Isn't it weird? Do men get judged like that? No, they do not.
No. Did you? Well, of course, I already told you about the conference. I ordered a small T-shirt. Hopefully it's not going to be skin tight, or I'll be also in the ranks of slutty,
Well,
dress.
there are some people thinking, I hope her shirt is skin tight. So,
Well, yeah. Well, the thing is that I always find these t-shirts are very baggy,
right.
and
Agreed.
I hate like those big baggy kind of t-shirts, like it just kind of very unattractive. I mean, I don't want to wear a skin tight t-shirt either, but I'd rather wear something that just fits.
And these
And
days, t-shirts are made for people who are much younger than you and I, anyway. That
hmm
the semi-cropped look. So many things are cropped short, which was very popular in the '90s, I remember.
Sure.
But being
Back when
almost
I had
56,
abs.
I didn't wear cropped t-shirts in the '90s, but they look great on younger people with great bodies. But I'm not going to wear one because it would be inappropriate on many levels.
Right? I don't care if you have, a killer body. I think at our ages, I would feel a little bit stupid dressing like that.
Yeah.
I had a six pack. I had amazing abs. So of course, when I was in my 30s and even in my 40s, I was wearing clothes like that. But those days are gone.
We need a t-shirt that says abs, dot, dot, dot. Been there, done that.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Haha.
Great idea. We were just talking about the hole in the Soyuz,
Oh gosh,
and
yes. To be more on topic,
mhm.
that whole thing is so crazy. It is only, it's not as crazy as one other thing, which is the Tesla. The crazy lies that we've been told recently, those are in order. Tesla first and this second. I just don't, I just can't think of any other reason that this is happening other than they are laughing at us, mocking us, and just seeing how far the average person on earth is going to accept these lies. And so far, so good. It's working on the general populace, but not on us.
Well, how about the employees though? I mean, they've got like people that sit monitoring these data screens as their job, running 24 hours a day. So you can imagine how boring their lives must have become when nothing ever happens. Then all of a sudden, after finally, well, apparently there was a hole or something at some point a while, way long ago, but this is the first time in a long time that anything exciting has happened where they're like, oh, code 6 or whatever they would say,
Yep.
like how exciting for them to finally have something to do. But I just, to me, like I was just saying, like, where was the contingency plan? Where's
Oh yeah.
where's the drills? Where's the, we all spring into action because we're so highly trained, we know exactly what to do instead of sticking your finger in the hole and then getting some kind of special tape, which might have even been duct tape, and then and they're going to use some kind of an epoxy to plug it. Yet that's the Soyuz that they're coming back home with. So really makes zero sense.
Sometimes I try to glue little things that break in my house with crazy glue, and we all have
Doesn't
done it. And sometimes
doesn't
it doesn't
last.
work,
It doesn't
so
last very long because it dries out. It's
yeah.
not
And
it doesn't have any flexibility to it. At least they should be using E6000
oh yeah,
because
I have that actually in the tube. I don't know. It doesn't.
that's
I've
what
used it
I
for,
used a lot of that when I was making belt buckles because
oh
it
yeah.
has been to it. It works fantastic, but I mean, obviously for space, I don't think so. Mind you, since the Tesla seemed to go up into space with just, regular, parts like any car, and
Right.
they all survive. So I guess space, it doesn't matter. You can use duct tape, and you can use like bathroom caulking or
Sure. Pipe
whatever.
cleaners are next. Some string would be fine as well,
Yeah, well, they've used tape. I've seen them use tape to when they were trying to hold something down once. I have a video of it. They were using just looked like some kind of clear cellophane colored tape to hold something down, even though it kept floating up and it looked like it was coming detached because of the water, of course. So I'm disgusted. And like I was saying, I don't know if you were listening, but I mean, when I worked on the cruise ship, twice a week we had to have muster, where we had
Yeah.
to go to our lifeboat stations, reenact what's happening, sometimes even get into the water, launching lifeboats, like, and the crew lifeboats, like these things were all super important twice a week. Yet these astronauts spend more time playing with water bubbles and doing these events for kids than they do like serious contingency training in the event that something like this happens. But they have a whole team on the ground that are monitoring debris and whatnot, and changing orbits around, because there's so much stuff in space that is dangerous for them. Yet they don't know how to fix it when something real does happen.
Something real that they've always known could happen and supposedly did happen in the past. This would be a high priority, hugely high priority, where I used to watch the original Star Trek series, and anytime anything bad happened to the ship, there would be a like, wah, wah. I can't do the noise, but this red alert noise that went throughout the whole ship. And I know that's Hollywood, but we all can imagine that that would be what would happen on something like the ISS if it existed, that there would be a red alert if something happened, like pressure drop or this or that, or a puncture from one of these micrometeors, so that anybody, even if they were dead asleep, would wake up and then go into the muster, like you said, like on the cruise ship, and go into the stages for it, and not even knowing if it was a drill or if it was real. And it would be immediate. It wouldn't be just like clean up on aisle 3, which is what this seems to have been. But I think you're right about the people back at the desks, back on Earth. Of course, we all know this is happening on Earth, but we'll pretend for a minute. They are just sitting there monitoring these screens, and the screens have information that those in the know have put there that don't really reflect reality. And then, of course, they put also on those screens the lie of what happened with this micrometeor. And the people behind the screens, boy, talk about indoctrinated. I'd say 100% of them would never even consider what's on that computer screen in front of them is not real.
And then that the astronauts, of course, just let them sleep. I'm sure the people behind those screens are like, oh, I guess they should be notified and woken up, and this is really serious. And then the people that do know the truth, like, no, just let them sleep. It's okay.
Yeah, and that's because they weren't on set, probably.
Yeah.
They decided to pull this thing off, and they didn't, think that they needed that many people to pull it off, and so they did. They, faked the thing, and part of faking it is what we don't see. It's what the guys on the screens and girls at NASA see. The stuff that comes on the screen. That's the part of faking it that we don't know how it all actually goes down. Because we know those people who are manning those computers, they don't know. They just work there.
Exactly. And just like how they always screw everything else up, no foresight, no really thinking about it and think, okay, well, what if this happens or what if that happens? Instead, a random photo of a hole that is easily traced back to an album cover of a Christian band.
May said it was something taken by NASA back in the day using a microscope or something along those lines.
Yep, that too.
So that's fake, and then fake on top of fake with an extra side order of fake.
I guess I never thought
Absolutely.
That one day Google image search would exist, that you can find images just that easily now. To prove back then they probably never had the foresight to think that we would be able to fact check like we do.
Lying is not as easy as it appears to be, obviously. Your parents always said, don't lie. Lying's bad when you were young. Most parents did anyway, unless they were lying and teaching their kids to do it. But so we learned, and then we later learned that I had a friend who used to say she was Russian. So this was her Russian saying that she translated to English. Dead bodies always float to the surface because lies are always found out, or, horrible skullduggery always comes to the surface in the end. And you'd think that these people who plot these things out, the very few who are in the know, would do a better job of, making sure all the contingencies are planned for, but they don't. And that's my question. Is it on purpose because they're playing with our minds, those of us who are awake, or playing with the general populace's mind, kind of seeing how much they'll take before someone says, hey, that doesn't look real, and starts waking up? Or are they just dumb?
Or was it a programming error? Like, obviously people are programming the fake data to be sent down to these people. Maybe it was like, oh shoot, I didn't mean to do that.
Oh, never thought of that.
And then it's like, oh no, now what do we do? So this is the end result of that.
And
Because,
maybe that's why the picture with the hole from the Christian rock album was pulled so quickly without any fact checking done.
mm-hmm.
Because
Seems like it. And
yeah,
like I
that
said,
kind of
they
makes sense.
always screw up.
But it
They
could have been planned because what, a Christian album of all things? There's a lot of Christians who are involved in Flat Earth. Of course, not all people, but it's huge. There's a huge Christian presence, or at least people who believe there's a creator now who didn't before. And that just seems to be them flipping the middle finger at us in a way, as they use a finger to plug a hole.
or someone who knows the truth has stumbled onto it and did that on purpose.
A whistleblower. We could have a whistleblower on the inside. I hope so. That would be cool.
Like that. I mean, I know we're creating all these scenarios.
And what if?
One of them has to be the truth here,
Right.
you know? There's
Well,
always the truth somewhere underneath the layers of deception.
a lot of people will say, who aren't probably in this chat right now, but will say, well, the truth is there's an ISS up there with men on it from different countries all working together, and it got a hole on it from a micrometeor. You morons.
If you're in the chat and you believe that, I'm sorry you believe that. Please research the truth. Please look at all of the empirical evidence that we have collected as a group of flat earth realists to see that you've been fooled and lied to. There's just too much evidence against NASA now. You can't believe all this anymore without at least going, that is really weird, and let me look a little further into it. Have an open mind.
Paused astronauts.
Please.
Paused astronauts in my video. Well, it's not my footage, is it? It's their footage. Paused astronaut. Supposed to be live. One of them's paused. What are they going to say? What excuse can they make for that?
They always make one. I've shown it to people who know I'm a flat earther, know what I look at, know what I think. And I've shown them different things, especially videos you've done, Bling Bling, and all the videos people do that are, really outing all this ISS fakery. And they always, I'll just say, I won't say, look, here's proof. I won't point at anything. I'll show it and say, what do you see? And then first they always say nothing, looks normal. And then I'll have to point out the thing, the event, the harness, the paused astronaut or whatever. And then they'll say some kind of explanation. That's the first thing they say is something like, well, probably it's a glitch because the camera, the footage has to travel so far from space back to Earth. That's the number one thing people usually say. Or the guy with the harness floating by behind the other two astronauts. Remember that one from, I think, last year?
Special experiment.
Yeah, special experiment. Yep. Special experiment. They're testing out a harness for a special, they're trying to do a spacewalk inside, I'm like, oh my gosh, are you serious? And I always think that the people who are, average innocent people, like we used to be before we came into this, these people, they're actually accidentally working for the New World Order by not looking into it, by always coming up with an excuse for this behavior.
Yeah, it's sad, but it's easier to just believe a lie than it is to accept the truth.
Well, we can all look at that in our personal life. Many of us have worked in a job where maybe the boss or other people working there were kind of jerks or bad people doing bad things. And we kind of brushed it off in the beginning until we really had to wake up and smell the coffee. We've been in relationships with people we thought were good who turned out to be bad. And it is easier to stay at the job or stay in that relationship and deal with the abuse and deal with this and that. Because if you come out and express what the truth is, there are many things that could occur. You could be laughed at by the bosses, friends, family, fellow co-workers, or the spouses, friends, and family. You could be be made to feel horrible or stupid, or you could have it turned around so that you're in the wrong. So that's why a lot of people just don't bother with it. As long as they're getting that paycheck, or as long as on paper it looks like they're in a happy relationship, they'll just allow all this stuff to happen and look the other way. And with the NASA stuff, it's the same thing. Maybe in the back of many people's minds, something is wrong, but it's a whole, I hate the term can of worms, but it's a whole can of worms that they don't want to open because they understand on a really basic level, if they start looking at NASA fakery, where will that lead? What rabbit hole will they find themselves down? maybe
Absolutely.
being on the Sun and Moon Family United channel talking about flat Earth.
It's just easier to, call
Go
us all
along to get along.
crazies. It's easier for
Yep.
them to just call us all crazies than it is to look at this and, have your mind blown. I think that one of the first steps to all of this is to watch Loose Change, and then go on to researching the fake moon landings. And if you can open your eyes to those two things, then you can really look at what we are talking about.
True.
And then do some research into the people that are telling you these things. We don't have a bunch of high school flunkies here. We have educated people in pretty much every single profession there is, who have, put their necks out on the line because of the truth.
Right.
And it's important for them to realize that, we know what we're talking about,
Can I say something?
Yes.
I work at a college, right? And there are teachers are there when I go, and I so want to say something because they're teachers and they're teaching the younger people. But I think if I said something, I'd lose my job, so I don't say it there.
Well, that's why most people, sadly are quiet. Like,
right.
Brian Mullen is a good example.
Perfect.
Of that.
Yes.
He didn't stop becoming a flat earther.
Right.
I wonder if anyone stays in touch with him on any
Well,
level.
I was in touch with his wife. She was my and many other people's Facebook friend for quite some time. And I noticed about 3 weeks ago or so, and maybe it happened earlier, but I noticed 3 weeks or so ago that her name was Nicole. Her name is Nicole. She was off Facebook too. She closed her Facebook.
Really?
So I don't think that there's any foul play or anything like that, because for the longest time after Brian closed his Facebook and shut down his channel, Nicole, his wife, had pictures of Brian, current pictures of them together and their baby, and he just wanted out, not because he went to the ball, but because he just wanted out of the, like you said, putting your neck on the line. It's what happens. Being called a moron so many times, having potentially your job threatened. But
I
yeah,
think it was definitely the job being threatened.
Right.
Being licensed in 5 states, that's quite an accomplishment,
And he was well-spoken, very attractive, very kind. You could see, because there's videos of him still on YouTube. In fact, I interviewed him twice on my channel, Brian Mullen, and they're still up. And other people have saved a lot of his videos. You could see goodness shining from his face, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. The givers and the
that
receivers.
video about when he was first meeting Nicole and he wasn't saying who she was or anything, and
I think
talking
I'm in love
about
with this woman when he said that.
it was beautiful. He went to the top of a mountain to make this video. I don't have that on my channel. I hope somebody's got that. If somebody knows where it is, put it as a link in this chat. But it was beautiful. And every woman who was single, and even some women who were married, when they saw that video, thought, I want a man who says that stuff about me.
Yeah,
it was gorgeous.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So sadly, to have your livelihood threatened after, putting all that in, all the money in free education, all the work to get a reputation in the industry, and then, to have it threatened. I don't blame him one bit. I wish that he would open a channel secretly. He could change his voice,
yeah, but then he'd be accused of being someone else, being a shill with a voice changer. That would be a whole other problem for him.
Yeah, it's too bad.
So much paranoia, and rightfully so. I mean, we are looking for the truth, but sometimes it goes overboard. He put his career and his family, his new child, and his wife Nicole's child from a previous relationship, their well-being on the line by being involved in Flat Earth. But all of us do too. I mean, I know, Bling Bling, that you receive hateful comments, and Karen, I know you have, and I'm sure Lucy, you have, although I haven't seen any, and I hope you haven't. But we've all had our character assassinated repeatedly, and many in the chat who dare show their face and talk about this subject. We get hammered from the outside, from people who truly believe in the ball, from maybe paid trolls who believe in the ball. I have no idea if there really are paid trolls. Maybe there are. And we get hammered from the inside from fellow flat earthers as well. So I know Brian Mullen got lots of noise. Lucy, put your mic, unless she's trying to talk. I don't think she is. She might be driving.
Lucy, we can hear. Actually, she muted now. That's it. I think she's muted.
Cool.
Oh, I'm not driving. I had an incoming call and it interrupted my thing.
Oh, sorry about that. Just a noise came over.
We have all put ourselves on the line, every one of us here in the live chat, watching it later, people who've never watched this, by speaking the truth, not just on Flat Earth, on all the other subjects. And
Absolutely.
we've put our name on the line. We've decided it's better to speak the truth, or try to at least explore the truth, than to live a lie. And it's not easy. And I don't blame anybody for wanting out. We all have toyed with the idea, I'm sure, of like, you know what, is this really worth it? Should I just shut my channel down? Because I could disappear back in the Matrix, still believe what I believe, try to tell a few people privately about it, but not get hammered on YouTube. And it's a tempting thought. I wonder if Brian ever has buyer's remorse, or, regret that he took his channel down, especially when he sees things like what recently happened, the Tesla, and then this plugging the whole, finger in a dike sort of thing, the little Dutch boy scenario. I wonder if he's just like thinking, oh, I would love to make a video, but can't.
I hope that he thinks like that, and not, oh, I wish I hadn't started in the first place.
Yeah.
I hope so. I mean, my husband, it definitely has, it hurt my marriage, because my husband is not a truther at all. He's never, ever looked at any research on anything, including 9/11. And he really believes that terrorists with box cutters, the whole official narrative, he believes all that. So he obviously has never looked into anything flat earth related. He overhears me talking about it. He overhears me making videos. So at least he has been exposed to a little bit of it, just, not directly, indirectly, but yeah, he does not want to discuss it. So we just agreed to not ever talk about it together.
Does he think what you're doing is, does he think what you're doing is kind of like she's got a hobby like quilting or something? Or does he understand that this is your passion and your true belief?
Oh, no, he knows it's my passion and my true belief. And he's outnumbered here because Margaret believes it, Daniel believes it, and then my other son Andrew, who lives in Atlanta, he also is extremely supportive of what I'm doing, and he's like 99.9% a flat earther now. But he's busy with his modeling career, or I should say his acting career. He does a little bit of modeling stuff, but his acting career, and he's also a professional golf caddy. So he's he's got his stuff going on, in Atlanta. So that's not where his interest is, but he certainly knows what the truth is. But yeah, it does hurt relationships, and I have heard from other flat earthers that have said that they've actually lost their relationships over this. So
yes,
yeah, there's a lot of sacrifice involved in the truth movement. But I'm not stopping, and thankfully I don't have a husband that is like telling me you better stop this or else. Like,
that would be hard.
He's not controlling. He's not telling me that I have to do that. He just says, I don't want to talk to you about this ever. Like, don't, because if I do, he's just going to get really upset. And you know what? It's not worth it. So.
There's a guy that I know that, not a boyfriend, just a guy that I've known a very long time. I speak about this person all the time. He's a lawyer. I speak about him all the time because he's so in the Matrix. He's a perfect example of people in the Matrix and what they think and what they feel. And he lives in Houston. So he's a person I can easily talk to, and he handles legal stuff for me anyway. So he comes at me, attacks me, which I shouldn't have him as my lawyer anymore, but he does it so cheaply. I still keep him, but he attacks me kind of not really attacking me, but he'll send me an email out of the blue. And the email will say something like, hey, look at this. And it'll be some story. We all know the stories about we'll be living on Mars soon, or, one of those stories. What do you think of this? He's sending it in a mocking fashion, and I know it, because he thinks these things are all proofs that we really are going to Mars and et cetera. And I told him kind of the reverse of what your husband said. I said, I don't want to ever talk about this with you. Period. I don't want to. If you send me anything about space or about Earth's shape, I will just delete it, because he's He's like having my own private troll, although it's very infrequent. It's still annoying. It's very galling that he would do this, but
Yeah.
it's because he loves space so much and loves lies, I guess. I don't know what it is.
No, he believes it's real. He really does, right down to his core. Like, so never looked into it. Never looked at any of our research. I absolutely loved Rob Skiba's day one conference when he was going through like what flat earthers actually believe. And
Yes.
It was so wonderfully done.
He did great. Rob's awesome.
I put that on my Facebook as a challenge to my Canadian friends because, of course, it was the Canadian Flat Earth Conference, and not one of them even bothered to make a response to me, other than this American man that I know that just started giving me grief about it.
Immediate grief, not just like, that's interesting, let me look into it.
And it's not even Canadian. Like, it was for my Canadian friends. Like, can you not read? So
I can't believe it that people won't look into something, and all of us looked into it. That's the thing. That's really all it takes, is looking into it, not just looking and finding a Vsauce video, which, by the way, this lawyer person that I know, the first thing he sent me when I told him about Flat Earth was a Vsauce video. That's the first.
Really?
I told him about Flat Earth. I sent him a couple videos to look at, and this was back in 2015. And this is before I actually started my channel, which was August 2015. This was like March of 2015. I sent him the information and said, hey, you might want to look into this, because I thought he was a smart guy. Well, he probably is, but only like with his career. But he sent me back a Vsauce video with no comment, just Vsauce video. And that's what you get. And Rob Skiba he puts the information, even if you take out the Christian aspect, he puts the flat earth information in such a user-friendly, easy to swallow form, and it's entertaining and engaging, that I think he's a great entry-level person to send to somebody, send a video to somebody, and hey, you're going to get to meet him pretty soon.
I know, I'm excited. I love that speech. That one little part he did when that lady had made that video trying to like prove that the Earth is the globe, and then he mimicked her voice. I swear I must have listened to that over 10 times. It's so funny. He's
good. He does sound effects.
The little laugh that he
he does
so
good.
Funny.
He does Flintstones or Scooby Doo. He does little sound effect voices with with his voice when he does presentations. He's a very polished speaker, but he's not polished in a robotic way. You can tell that he's making what he says fit the audience that he's speaking to, because he's a public speaker about the subjects that he speaks on. Obviously, he's well trained, unlike me or Mark Sargent.
Come on.
We're just like regular people.
But
you know what I mean. Rob Skiba is on tour, professionally speaking, and he comes off very professional, but yet down to earth. He's totally exactly like that.
Yeah.
Boy, you know what? The expression "down to earth" actually should be changed. What does that mean? Not in space.
Really, right?
There's a few sayings, isn't there? Yeah.
That's another expression.
You had a nice view on top of that mountain, Patricia Steere.
Wait, say that again. I couldn't hear you because I think Lucy's some sound is feeding through her.
Oh, it's
Lucy, talk to us.
That's going to interrupt my Bluetooth.
Oh,
Turn off my Bluetooth and turn it back on again.
We want you to talk with us.
That's what these phone calls do. I apologize about that, ladies. I would go on airplane mode, but then I wouldn't have any Wi-Fi.
Yeah. Oh, Karen, what were you saying? I couldn't really hear. Could you repeat it?
I was just saying, nice view on top of that mountain.
Oh, yes. Yeah. The Banff after conference trip in Canada was really cool. There's videos on my channel. It's old news now, but yeah, it was really spectacular. Just seeing mountains and the beauty of the world we live in is so, we all know when we go out in nature how it makes us feel. It was just a really great experience. I live in a city. I live in Houston. There's pretty parts of it. I live in a pretty part. Generally speaking, I live near art museums and nice restaurants and all of that. But I definitely feel a feeling, almost a spiritual feeling, when in mountains or near water. I think we all get that, you know.
What did you think of Lake Louise?
I don't really know Lake Louise. I don't know. Was that part of the body of water that we were near?
Well, you went to that very famous big old hotel, right?
Yes.
And well, Lake Louise is right there. Didn't you go and see it? It's the turquoise water, like it's crazy turquoise because it's like a quarry kind of thing.
We saw from where we were on this patio part of the water, which made it look like it was just like a stream. So maybe that
Oh.
was just a stream, or maybe that was a giant lake.
No, if
I'll
you
have
had
to try to remember, but
if you had seen Lake Louise, you would remember it's like, I mean, I haven't seen Lake Louise because the last time when I've been in Banff, it was winter for skiing. But when I was little, we went in the summer, and I still remember it, like, because it's like the same color like the Bahamas, like Nassau, like the same color of the water. It's just
why
spectacular.
is the lake that color in that particular part of the world?
Because it's because of the quarry stone, I believe. That's like,
And also it would be glacier fed. So maybe there's something to do with the water being cleaner.
but you'll see that like even in Manitoba where they've got like rock quarries and there's water in it, the water will have that same color to it.
Ah,
So somehow it just reflects the sky, I guess. I don't know, but
yeah.
very
It's just,
beautiful, very beautiful. But yeah, you guys look like you had a great time. I want to ask you, when is the flat Earth photo being done for in front of the billboard?
I don't have the exact date. I would say it's 2 days before the conference. That's what I think, where a
2
billboard will
days.
be. And I believe that's also where, or it might be the day before. You know what? Message David Weiss. He knows. He's
'Cause
the
I'm
one
coming
that.
in the day before
Yes, I know.
so I hope I don't miss it. My
And
plane
maybe I'm
comes in
wrong
at
about the 2
1.
days, but
Uh-huh.
in Raleigh, it was 1 day before it started.
Okay.
So hopefully it'll be the same. I don't know the date. It's, because it's a couple months off plus some
Sure.
days. I don't, I've got my tickets, I've got my room reserved and stuff,
Mhm.
plane tickets, I mean, and my room reserved. But I don't, you know what I mean? I don't right off the top of my head now.
Bling Bling's
Mhm.
going. Is that? Are you talking about?
Yes.
Sorry, the Denver one.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bling Bling's
Yes. Yep. And the hoary sheet.
Yeah.
going.
He sure is. So he was, I don't know if he was making a joke on his Facebook today, but he had a picture of a very pretty girl. And he says
Ooh.
he has an offer to ride with her. I don't know if he was kidding or not. But I really want him to fly. I was really encouraging him because he's never flown and he's afraid of it. And I'm trying to get him to get outside of his comfort zone.
Well,
So
wait a minute. He wants, okay, go on a plane with a beautiful but yet married woman when you're scared to fly, or go on a car ride with a very pretty girl. What do you think he'll
well,
choose?
we'd have to take separate flights anyways, though, because
Oh,
he lives in Arkansas,
that's
and
true. He does.
I'm
Yes.
in West Palm. So,
Right.
but I was trying to coordinate it so we could like at least sort of be at the airport the same time. But I mean, I told him like there is a free shuttle right to the hotel,
Hotel. Yeah.
and so that's easy. So I'm just helping him, to make
That's
sure that
very,
he's.
very, very,
Hey,
very
Lucy.
awesome.
Lucy, you going to Denver? Lucy Lemons? Is she going?
I don't know. I haven't heard her say so. She's having phone/Bluetooth issues, I think.
I'm so sorry. I had it on mute because I didn't want to like my things interrupt you. I apologize about that. I'm uncertain if I'm gonna go to the Denver, Colorado Flat Earth meetup. It would be nice to, but I haven't really figured it out. Work
Yeah.
and all that stuff can get in the way.
Well, I would suggest you're going to make your decision pretty soon because there is still hotel rooms available. Be careful where you book. Some places are charging way more than other sites for the same hotel. You know how they do that. I'm pretty happy with the price that I was quoted for my room. So if I hadn't checked around, I would have paid like about $300 more for the room. So
Well, are you staying in the Crown Plaza, which is kind of the conference hotel?
Yes, I am, ma'am.
Oh, okay, got it. And if you book through the website, I think you get there is a standard rate, I think.
Well, I think it ended up being like $100 a day, I think.
Yeah, I mean, whatever it is, it's something totally doable.
But it was going to be 500 if I had was looking around. It was going to be like 500, over 500.
Well, that's a lot.
And at first I'm like, oh shoot, that's expensive. It's not even, I mean, I've stayed in hotels that are 500 a day, but
Sure,
but
this isn't that sort of event. You know what I'm saying?
No, exactly.
You wouldn't want to stay. Yeah, no.
I started
Not like a honeymoon or your birthday, or you know what I mean? It's not one of those, let's go and stay at a glamorous hotel, honey, kind of thing.
There is one other hotel that's on the same street that I don't know if it's a mile up. And they were fairly reasonable as well, but you'd have to like walk or take an Uber. That's the only one that's really close. The rest of them, there's one that's across the highway. It's going to take you a good half an hour to, get through all the, the overpasses and an Uber. And even though the prices are a lot more reasonable, that would be a big pain in the butt. So really you have two hotel options, and the Crown Plaza is filling up pretty fast.
So what you're saying is, Lucy, don't leave it too long.
Right. And it would be awesome.
Just don't wait too long.
And
if the ideal thing would be to stay at the hotel that the conference is held at. That would be ideal.
You can get a discount, a 10% discount if you use Paul on the Plane. That's the code. I didn't know about that either until I booked my ticket, so I didn't get that. But
if you do what? If you do what with the plane?
Use the promo code Paul on the Plane. You will get a 10% discount on your ticket.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that should be more widely publicized. We should talk about that more. But yeah.
I wonder if we're going to have a conference here in Los Angeles. That would be nice.
I believe that will be something coming in the future. I mean, Robbie's the one who puts it together. But I think he told me that he's going to have them in many different cities. So
he's got to do a winter conference in Florida. You can do it in Miami.
Florida would be good. Los Angeles would be good. I think those are two key areas to hit next. There's also been some talk of Las Vegas, just because of the ease of hotels and, places for conferences. It's just, that's what the city's made for. I mean, it's made for gambling, but it's also.
Oh, I hope he does that in April. That I go every April.
But I know that
I would hate to go there twice in 1 year.
There's a cruise coming up too.
I know someone else who's coming to Denver as well. He's in the chat room right now. It's Dave Marsh from the UK.
Oh my gosh, that is so cool.
Nice.
I was just messaging with Dave, I think, earlier today on Facebook.
A music conspiracy's coming, isn't he?
Yes, he is, and I think that
conspiracy
music guru Alex, he, I believe, is performing on stage there, and maybe more like acoustically, in a very simple fashion, but during the conference. This is probably going to be the best conference of all of the conferences thus far. However, if you went to one of the other conferences in Canada or in North Carolina, I'm not going to say, oh, you missed out, this is better than those. They're all good, and they all will have their, positives and negatives because of the location, et cetera. But this just seems to be gearing up to be the most, I don't know what it is about it. Do you guys feel that way about it too? Just the more,
well, Paul on the Plane's going to be there. Mr. Fryman Survives going to be there.
Mm-hmm.
Karen, it's not too late. We could still get a fundraiser going for you. Sweetie.
Yep.
We've got 2 months. It's you have to just say yes, do that, and we'll get a fundraiser going for you. Everyone wants you to go. Surely, I know you'd like to. I mean, yeah, you'd have to take some time off work. You need a travel day, maybe 2 days for travel, 1 day back home for travel, just because of the jet lag, and then just come. Really want you to come. Just do a fundraiser for you, sweetie.
Yeah, it's a lot of money for a few days, though. I don't mean to sound like defeatist or horrible the other way around, but it is a lot of money for a few days.
But I said, but if we get a fundraiser, then we could just get all the money together that you need, and
I think that's a good idea.
I have all kinds of people that were saying, I'll chip in, I'll chip in, I'll chip in. you know, so people are, you know, being very generous. So just think about it, sweetie. You got 2 months, but you make your decision soon because you want to get a VIP ticket. I don't know how many they have left. I'm surprised though. Maybe it's a larger venue, but last year by this time, all the VIP tickets are already gone.
Yes.
For
Well, a
Raleigh.
lot of
So
people are thinking to only come to one of them. And you know, when you've done two so far, many of the people already went and they're like, I'm not going to go to this one because I went to Toronto or because I went to Raleigh. So that's why the tickets might be a little bit slower on the
but maybe is
sale.
there more tickets? Like, is he making it bigger this time
I
than?
think it is bigger this time too, although don't quote me on that. I don't know for sure.
Mhm.
Um,
I would hope so, based off of, you know, how many VIP tickets that, you know, was limited supply and to start with, and then they were all gone. I looked and like, holy crap, they're all gone already. It was just a couple days after he had opened it up that they were all gone. So, you know, because the VIP gets you, you know, well, why don't you tell us what that entails, Patricia, because you know all the details.
you get better seating, better view, and then there's a couple other things you get. I forgot what they are. And then there's a speaker's dinner where the people who spoke and you all go into a private dining room, and there's like this really lovely dinner that's served, and everyone just mixes and mingles there.
Mhm.
That, you know, kind of just like VIP anywhere. You get closer and to the front, and you get maybe some little benefit, food and drink, and open bar, and all of that with the speaker.
And you get a T-shirt.
Oh, a T-shirt. That's right.
Can I just
Wow.
A crop top.
Yeah, crop top.
Patri-
I think
Patri- but the other
Patricia
Can I
was going to
just
say
yeah,
something.
Patricia. Good, Patricia.
Marilyn in the chat room's asking when the Denver, what date it is.
November 15th and 16th.
15th and 16th. Yes, exactly. I am
Okay.
going 12th through the
you.
20th. Actually, the 12th to the 20th. I'm going all of that time. Going to hang out a
Well,
little bit before and hang out a little bit after. But the bad thing about all that, if you think about it, is when we're talking about cost to go to an event, whether or not you're getting VIP or just a regular ticket, you know, you've got to pay for many people who don't live in Denver airfare. I mean, I'm paying that myself, and your hotel as well. For that time, I'm handling that. And also I've got to pay for my cat sitter to come stay in my house for all that time. And then there's other people who might have to pay for childcare. You know, if there's not a parent or a significant other who doesn't want to go to the conference, will stay home and watch the kids. So the conferences aren't cheap. I mean, you've got to pay for your food. You might want to buy something while you're there. It's not you know, hey, let's go to McDonald's. It's not that I recommend that, but it's not a, you know, it's something that you've got to really,
it adds up.
it adds up. It adds up
Yeah.
for all of us. And you know, it's a sacrifice for any of us to do it, but there's a reward as well. The bonding, the feeling of unity and teamwork, regardless of what model we believe in, what map we believe in, if we have a religion or if we don't, if we believe there's a creator or we're an atheist, the bond we all share when it comes to knowing that we've been lied to and that we want to make a change, that is what's there. And that is what is the focus at these things. I know that nothing new is being presented. There's no new revelations of flat earth. It's not that you're going to go and learn something, but you will learn something, but it'll be more about yourself and your connectedness with other people who live in other countries, very far from you, or in another state. It's a good feeling.
Just to be around all the like-minded people. And I mean, that's a pretty amazing thought, you know, that every single person, other than if they're going to send in news crews again, you know, every single person there believes what you believe, that the earth is a lie that we've been told. And that's worth its weight in gold.
Yes, indeed, it is. And if you say, oh, well, you know, we can't afford it this year. The thing is that there's 2 months left. Tickets are not yet sold out. There are things you can do to cut down spending between now and then. And, you know, I buy Starbucks coffee when I'm out. a lot of people think Starbucks coffee's involved in witchcraft and Satanism, whatever. To me, it's a place I can pull in my car in Houston traffic and get a soy latte and then be on my way. So I see it as that convenience. And in order to swing a trip, you've probably got a version of Starbucks coffee in your life, something that you do, whatever it may be, a little expense here or there that you could just not do for the next couple of months. And I'm not saying Starbucks coffees will end up being able to make you able to afford to go to Denver, but really, I mean, coffees I get are like, I think $8 with tip, and it does add up, and there are things we all do. Highlighting your hair if you're a woman. I mean, I don't know what, I'm just throwing stuff out there that we could just say, you know what, I'm going to back burner that stuff, and I'm going to focus instead on going to this conference and
there are ways to make it more reasonable while you're there. Like a lot of hotels these days, they don't provide you with even a coffee maker in your room. So
True.
You're spending money having to go and wait in a big long lineup to get a coffee. Like I always travel with my own little coffee maker.
Bring some snacks with you,
Absolutely.
granola bars, dried fruit, whatever it is that you like. Bring some of that with you in your suitcase. There will be so much happiness at the event for you if you go. Those little sacrifices that you might have to make in order to get there, you won't even remember them when you're hugging a person that you've only spoke to online, but you feel a connection with. I mean, that's how I'm going to feel when I see you.
I know,
Bling,
I'm so excited.
It's like,
I'm going to see you in the flesh. And it's weird to be able to just look out across the room and know every single person who's there, but you've never met them in person.
Right. And hey, you and I can transvestigate each other.
Yeah, right.
Gosh.
Exactly.
When's that going to die?
Yeah, I can finally put the myth to rest, guys.
Oh God. I love the fact that a legend, not a good one, but a legend has grown around me. It's like, whoa, wow,
That's
not what I expected.
cool.
I thought this was about flat Earth people.
Yeah.
Yeesh. Funny.
Well, at least like you're so popular. I mean, it's not always in the way that we expected it to be, but I mean, everyone knows who you are.
One way or the other.
One way or another.
Within flat Earth, you can be either flat Earth famous or flat Earth infamous. So,
yeah,
But
eventually people will totally realize that.
I've met thousands.
They were to believe that and feel like an idiot forever thinking that.
Oh, I mean, I've met thousands of people literally now from going to various meetups in LA and Canada, different parts of Canada, in the United States, several of them, Seattle, Houston, been to a flat Earth film premiere in Canada, had a meetup there myself. Plus this will be my third conference. I've met literally thousands of flat earthers, and no one said anything other than it's lovely to meet you. None of those people were under any illusions of anything.
Everyone says she's so tiny.
Exactly.
She's so tiny. Like,
well, it's going to be great. It's going to be wonderful. And if people are thinking about going to Denver, try to get there a day ahead, because there will be, I think it's a day ahead. Hopefully it's not 2 days ahead, but anyway, look into it. There will be the billboard going up like happened in Raleigh. If you saw those videos where David Weiss will be there, he put together the fundraiser for the billboard, which has been fully funded now. And everybody donated to it. And it, just like the one in Raleigh, it got done and a real billboard went up, unlike some other scenarios with other people and other billboards, which, didn't really work out. But when it comes to the conference, everything promised actually gets delivered. And then he gets his drone out and does a drone flyover of everybody in front of the billboard. It just looks cool when you see it on video later, and to be there on the ground while that happens. In the cold weather, because it's going to be a little colder there in Denver at that time of the year, and everybody wearing like cozy sweaters and coats and hats, and I can just picture the feeling. And it'll be closer to the holidays, American holidays, and holidays most everywhere. That feeling of crispness in the air, that feeling of excitement, it's just going to be really awesome. Can't wait.
Yeah. Sounds really awesome. I'm just psyched and excited. I haven't even told my husband yet.
Oh no.
Mind you, when I had mentioned it a while back, he said, "Well, go, but don't expect me to go with you," like as if I would have ever thought he would go with me.
Well, at Toronto, there was a woman, a flat earther, who was in the audience for, the whole time for 2 days. And her husband was not a flat earther. He was a science guy. He was involved in science. And
Oh,
he went with her to accompany her to be supportive, which I thought was cool. Her
wow.
daughter, who was probably 13 or under, I couldn't tell, was very supportive of her mother's flat eartherism and also was a flat earther to a degree. And her daughter took her own baseball cap and covered it with tinfoil. So we wrapped tinfoil over her baseball cap and wore that to the conference. And, as a kind of tongue-in-cheek kind of thing. However,
Sure.
the media on the first day,
Oh boy.
had to get a shot of that. Oh, God. So I don't blame the girl or her mother. They were doing it for fun. But you know how they twist everything we say or do and make it look bad.
Do you know, I didn't see John, the Morgal on the lineup. So
No, he was on the Raleigh, the very first conference lineup, but something happened in his life. I'm not quite sure what, but something not so
he had
good, and he
something
left.
with the car that.
Yeah, something bad. And then he I don't mean he left. He decided not to go or couldn't go. And then I'm not sure what, Canada or Denver, if he's coming to it or not. I certainly hope so. I know that his wife, I think it's a heart attack that she suffered recently.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure on that either, but he continues to make great videos. But I think his circumstances are tenuous in a way with,
I think he needs a fundraiser too.
maybe that's it. I'm not quite sure.
He struggles.
Yeah.
And such an intelligent, well-articulated young
Oh
man.
my gosh, he is.
It's like, what a shame. Yeah, I was looking, Uru is going to be there though.
Yes.
Which is so exciting.
And D Murphy 25, Dave Murphy.
Yes.
He's going to be there, and potentially his son is going to be there too. That's up in the air at this point. I think he might. Red Flag Media is the name of that channel. Who else? I think maybe Mark Sargent might be there. Maybe.
Yeah.
Just
and
maybe.
Of course, Bob from Globebusters and Jaron, of course, is going to be there. So
Rob Skiba.
Of course, yes. And, a lot of great
Karen
people.
B is going to be speaking.
Yes, of course.
Oh my God.
Karen B. Where is she
That'll
today?
be great.
Is she at work or something?
I was
What
thinking
happened?
she'd be here.
I thought, Karen, what happened with that? Was she couldn't make it today?
That I don't know.
She's muted.
And Karen's muted, but
No, I'm
Two
here.
Karens.
I'm here.
What happened? Karen B.
I didn't ask her today because when I asked her a couple of months ago, she just said, things were going on in her life, and she'd rather just not be on that many hangouts. So
well, she's got her children and situations at work. Everyone's got their thing. I mean, whenever these hangouts happen, Karen, the time frame is where I am in Houston, a weird time frame to me because I have a personal trainer on the days. Which of course I don't always go because I'm lazy, but and Houston is a very trafficy place. If you've ever been to Houston, Texas, if you live in the city, it's I don't live amidst highways, or I don't live in the suburbs where all the houses look the same, but that stuff's all around me. And if you want to go from point A to point B, you've got a long trek, and you don't know what's going to be on those roads with all of the people. It's, I think, the third most populated city in the United States. Maybe it's the fourth, but whatever. It's crawling with cars. And just going out and then saying, well, I'll be back in time for the show. Every single time it's been, nope, you won't be. Sorry.
I'm
Except
surprised.
for last Thursday, though. Last Thursday, I thought this show was last Thursday, and I was ready and prepared and home.
Yes, you did. Sorry, Patricia.
I'm like, oh, God, I could have been on time.
But I was going to say, Patricia, you of all people, I'm surprised that you live in Houston, which has the worst air quality
I
of
don't
any
even
other
know.
city.
I lived in New Orleans, which that only worked out because I lost a radio job in California and had to find a job and was sending out resumes. This was a very long time ago in the mid 90s. And ended up landing a job because I couldn't get a California job. There was just nobody that was like the right fit. So I ended up having to leave the state and move to Louisiana. So I lived in New Orleans, and then lots of stuff happened. I ended up not having that job anymore. And then Hurricane Katrina brought me to Houston. A lot of people who lived in New Orleans during the Hurricane Katrina thing evacuated either before or after to Houston because it's somewhat nearby, and there were jobs and things like that. And anyway, I just ended up here and then ended up falling in love with somebody and had a pretty lengthy relationship with that person. And then that ended. And anyway, I ended up being in Houston. And then after that relationship ended, I thought, you know what? New Orleans is kind of patched back up again. And I'm done with radio, just done with moving around from state to state. I'm going to try the other thing I'm passionate about at that time. There was no flat earth, which was clothing boutique. So I opened up a boutique in New Orleans and ran that for a while, and then I loved creating it. I loved, putting the clothes in there, and I loved all the detail-oriented presentation aspect of it, but I didn't like standing there and ringing things up. Hated it. And it wasn't making enough money so that I could hire tons of people. So I had to be there quite a lot. And in the end, I just said, not for me. So I sold it to somebody and left. So I came back to Houston again because it's what I knew. To answer your question, why do you live in Houston? At one point in 2015, right before Flat Earth came into my life, I was toying with the idea of moving somewhere pretty. And Washington State was what I thought might be the place. And that was because I was born in Spokane, Washington. I was only there for a year of my life. I don't remember it, but I'd been back to Seattle as an adult several times. And I liked Northern California, but it was been there, done that. I'd lived in Southern for a year and been there, done that. Let's try somewhere new. Let's go back to where you were born. Let's go back to, the Seattle area, that part of, Washington State. And I looked into it, and then it just never happened for the fact that Flat Earth happened. And I think a lot of us had things we were going to do, and then Flat Earth happened that kind of derailed those plans. What do they say? Life is what happens while you're making other plans.
Yeah, no, it's true. That's
so
true.
Never did it. And then, eventually I went to Seattle. I've been to Seattle twice since Flat Earth, just as visits. One time to visit Mark Sargent, another time for a Flat Earth meetup with Paul on the Plane and Dee Marble and a bunch of other people. So, and I love it. And I would have probably been quite happy there, but it just didn't work out. And I don't have to be here forever either. I'm pretty open to moving somewhere else. I mean,
do you find that the air quality that bad?
No, I don't. Not really where I live at all. I don't find residue on my house or on my car, or there's no, I have an air conditioning person who comes twice a year to check all my filters and make sure everything's cool. Because I've got this kind of some new kind of filter for your house. And he's like, no, it's totally clean and clear. Not clean. I mean, you replace the filter, but it's not like clogged up. I don't know where the air quality is bad in Houston, if it's specific places or if it is, and I just can't tell. No idea. I don't live near any factories or any, smokestacks type things, but we've got all the cars, and that can't be good.
I know, because at one point, I asked my husband, when we were moving back from Montreal, I said, why don't you put in for like Texas, so Houston was on that list. And he's like, no way, they have the worst air quality.
Maybe they do. It's nothing I looked into because
I wanted to go there because of the horses,
Yes.
I was so busy showing horses. Like, I thought that would have been perfect, but yeah, he was absolutely set against it. So
he's probably right. Something
I
I never considered, because after Hurricane Katrina in 2005, I wasn't thinking, where do I want to move? It was more like, well, I stayed for the hurricane. I didn't even evacuate. But after 3 days, I think there with in the middle of, the very hot time of the year, with the water turned off and with even the gas turned off and no electricity and people looting, I'm like, guess what? We're leaving. Let's just keep driving until we find the power comes back on. And my cell phone didn't even work because the cell towers were down. I just
Yikes.
ended up in Houston because that's just where people went. It's just,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't think about air quality. I mean, if I would have had my wits about me, I would have not moved to Houston, to be honest. There's great things in Houston. There really are. But it's just not, I'm not an outdoors camping person. I always thought Northern California was really good for me, or parts of Southern California, because there's an element of a city life, but also the beauty of nature. There's really no beauty of nature in Houston. In Austin, yes, but I don't live in Austin, so.
Mm-hmm. It's like 3 hours from where you are, I guess.
Yeah, I've been to Austin. It was cool. I didn't feel like that's where I should live either, though. So maybe there is no place where I should live. Maybe all places are good. It's who you're with and what you make of it. I lived in Florida when I was in junior high and a tiny bit of high school. I didn't graduate high school there, but I did live in Florida. I lived in, where you are. I lived in Hollywood, Florida.
That's where Margaret is from, that area.
Yeah, and it was Emerald Hills was the little development that we lived in. So I went to junior high and part of high school, and then before I was able to hit senior year, I ended up moving, lost all my friends, because obviously back in those days there was no cell phones or internet to keep you connected.
Yeah.
Funny.
These days kids never see or talk, see their friends in person. They just text.
Right.
So
yeah,
we're doing perfect.
And even it would have been, and even when you're sitting next to, your friends at school, you're
don't look at
texting
them.
each other. So weird. Culture's so weird. I think cell phones and texting and smartphones and computers are awesome. Otherwise, we all wouldn't be talking now. But also, I remember back in the days when people would call each other and talk on the phone and go over to each other's house and actually knock on the door and visit. That doesn't happen anymore. We've lost a lot. We've gained a lot. I don't know if there's a better time or a worse time, just like with states to live in or countries to live in. I don't know if there's a better one or a worse one. It's what you make of it, your circumstances, and, the people that you're with.
Sure. Well, yeah, that's all very interesting with your history.
I'm
All
looking
these
up
different
air
places.
quality now to see if your husband's right.
Yeah, he was adamant about it.
I'm sure he's right, because I'm not going to ever say that I'm not going to say that it's good. I mean, I wouldn't think so. The worst places, are all a bunch of countries in Saudi Arabia and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah, he talked about that too. When
India, China,
deployed in the Middle East.
Uganda.
They burned tires all day there in
Oh,
the
right.
Middle East.
I'm going to try to find the worst place in the U.S. I'm scrolling through the list of the top 20.
Aren't you going through quite a few floods at the moment in America?
Not where I live. What about where you are?
That's true, though. There is flooding going on. I can't tell you what state it is offhand, but yeah, that is happening. It's been happening and happening. It doesn't seem to stop. Some kind of horrible, and I'm doing air quotes, natural weather event.
Right. Air quotes. Perfect.
We might be getting a hurricane. I don't know if it's gonna.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, I think it's gonna hit the Gulf though, but it's been kind of forming and brewing.
Where you are, and when I was in junior high and early high school, a lot of hurricanes. Hurricane David hit back in those days when I lived there. And then, of course, Hurricane Katrina, a lot of hurricanes in Louisiana, obviously. And then last year, right around August, there was a big hurricane here in Houston. And that was really tremendously horrible for a lot of people. And there was a lot of flooding then. That was about a year ago.
Sure.
Hurricane Harvey.
Yeah, we had our hurricane last year, but that was the first one since we moved here in 2007. We've
That's
had
good.
had a couple of bad tropical storms, but we had a random one. This was early in the week. All of a sudden, the winds were blowing 50 miles an hour, and the rain was coming in sideways into my sunroom. And I was sitting on my sofa, which is about 8 feet away from that window, and I was getting soaking wet.
Wow.
It was crazy, just so random. No warning at all. In fact, I got I got an update after the fact to as the warning that it was coming.
Right.
So that was a bit late. I'd already gotten soaking wet and had so much water in my sunroom. It was unbelievable. So
Hurricanes are
random.
pretty bizarre, but in a way they can be
Yeah.
tracked so you can run.
Yeah.
I lived in Northern California and a tiny bit in Southern, as I said earlier, and Lucy will know. Earthquakes, those are unpredictable. I mean, we know where faults are and all, but you just never know with earthquakes. There's no warning, and your life can change in an instant. And then, of course, we've got other things like lava. Joey
Yeah.
Rocha would know about that, and other people who lived in and around Hawaii. That's something that is
Yeah,
kind of
and
predictable.
he's back.
I
Joey's
know.
back.
Great news. Great
That's
news.
great. And then what happened in Italy back, I guess, was it the early 1900s when an entire little town was completely wiped out from um, an eruption of a volcano, and there was no warning, and all those people died.
How crazy.
Horrible.
Now,
Yeah.
is that real history or is that rewritten history?
Well,
No.
you can go there to the site where
Oh, I see.
they've dug it up, and they even have some bodies that were mummified, like in a museum, where you can see how, the almost the expressions on their face, almost of like
Wow.
mouths open, hands kind of bracing themselves, like
Oh, gosh.
no, that really truly did happen. So horrible.
And tsunamis is another thing. That's another one of those that just happens. Mudslides is another thing that can happen, in sinkholes.
I
Well,
watched a few videos about that, and I just think, oh my goodness, why aren't they showing that more? It's catastrophic.
yeah,
I wouldn't want to
Sure.
be on a beach on Japan, I'm telling you.
yeah.
Yeah.
God.
All those people standing around, like pointing and looking at it.
Yes.
We've all seen that footage. And then in PP, Thailand, the tsunami, where people were in the ocean, and they all got like swept out to sea, and because they didn't notice what was coming towards them. It's just shocking. But yeah, you don't, that's not the kind of news stories that you get to see a lot of in mainstream. That's I guess it's not political enough. I don't know.
So Bling Bling, your husband was right. Of course he was, right? A 2018 study called Air Pollution in America. The American Lung Association did this, and these are the top 15 worst places to live. So 15 is the best of the worst, which would be Houston, Texas. It tied 15th highest year-round particle pollution of 87 metro areas. Harrisburg, York, Lebanon, Pennsylvania as well. Birmingham, Hoover, Talladega, Alabama. Next up is Detroit, Warren, Ann Arbor, Michigan. I lived in Michigan for a while, but not Detroit. Then Indianapolis, Muncie, Indiana. Then Philadelphia, Reading, Camden, Pennsylvania. Then a tie with San Jose and San Francisco.
Wow.
Then another tie, Cleveland, Ohio, and Canton, Ohio. Then a tie with Pittsburgh, Newcastle, and Weirton, Pennsylvania. Never heard of Weirton. Another tie, Lancaster, Pennsylvania. I never would have thought that. El Centro, California. Yeah, definitely. Modesto, Merced, California. I lived in Modesto, California. In 1986, I moved from Kalamazoo, Michigan to Modesto, California to work at a country radio station. So the Central Valley, which is where the guy FEA, Flat Earth A-hole.
He lives there, right?
Modesto, yeah. Didn't like living there, but it was in 1986 when I lived there for a couple of years. It was just my first radio job outside of working for my dad. And that's the job I could get somewhere in a very small, tiny market where you didn't have to be that good, basically.
I'm sure you were great.
No. Fresno, California is number 5. Los Angeles, well, of course, right? Long Beach, California, number 4. Bakersfield, California. Oh, hand to heart. Been through Bakersfield, California. Horrendous.
Wow.
Visalia and Porterville, Hanford, California. Bad air quality. Fairbanks, Alaska. Wouldn't think.
Yeah,
Fairbanks.
right.
But it's
You
the
would-
burning of wood and solid fuels to heat the homes, I bet.
Oh, interesting.
That's the number one. So
Wow. Well, at least you're number 15th.
yeah, but I don't know. I'm looking at it now and thinking, was that 15 with the best to the worst or the worst to the best? I don't know.
Oh.
I'm not interested enough to look at it that way, but whatever. I've lived in many of the top pollution cities. So if you suddenly hear me coughing a lot,
Yeah.
it's
I
catching
haven't
up.
lived in any, but I've been through Pennsylvania. I never thought it was that
That's
bad.
what I thought. And I think of like the
Weird.
Amish people and, good, clean
Yeah.
living.
But well, I'm glad to know that at least Florida's not on the list.
Yeah. Florida's beautiful. I haven't been to Florida. I mean, I lived there. I think we left in 1978, moved away from there. I think something like that.
Well, it's a great place to live, except if you can put up with the, mind you live in Texas, the summers are so
The
hot
heat,
here.
it's the same. You've got a little more humidity. It's horrendous.
Yeah.
But I did go back to Marco Island.
Oh, it's lovely
One
there.
point. I had a boyfriend who had a house on Marco Island and like
Oh,
a summer house or a winter house, excuse me, a snowbird house.
that's
And
a very exclusive, expensive
yeah,
place.
he lived in
Marco
California
Island.
when we dated, and
Mhm.
we went there for fun. It was really cool, riding bikes around the island and just enjoying each other's company.
Uh-huh.
Funny.
That's right by Naples, Florida.
I've never been to Naples, and
I was there quite a bit. I had friends there, and well, of course, Florida is being very flat.
yes,
So everything's like a big intersection, like everywhere you look. Just huge intersections with like big box stores everywhere you look.
oh yeah.
You
I mean,
know.
even back when I was in junior high, there was that. I think it was called Highland Appliances. Was one of the big box stores. I don't know. I know that's probably closed now, but I just remember how it was back then, and going to high school and living in Hollywood, Florida, which was, when you're in junior high, you're not thinking about traveling to places and such because your parents drive you everywhere. You're a child and you're basically going to school or playing outside with your friends. But I remember enjoying myself when I lived in Florida. And I remember when I'd go visit people in Michigan, where I'd come from originally, noticing that when I'd fly from Michigan back home to Florida, and I remember just getting off the plane and that wave of wet heat that Florida has, that feeling. I mean, it. 'Cause
Smacks
you
you
live in
right in the face.
It does.
Yeah.
But-
Yeah, it's not the greatest, but we have great winters. Nice,
Well, in England,
80 degrees.
it's beautiful in England too. Karen, I'm not really sure where you live exactly, but there's some pretty gorgeous, incredibly gorgeous places there. And the weather's, to me, okay. People say, oh, it rains a lot, but I don't.
It's been very nice this year, and it's sort of hanging off, but I think we're going to get an early autumn. The trees want to start dropping their leaves.
I
soon.
love autumn. I've noticed it here, even in Texas. We do have a change of seasons. Love it.
I'm quite lucky where I live because I have this beautiful place. I used to live much closer to. It's about 10 miles away, called Coombe Hill, with masses of history on it. And then also 20, 30 miles on is Silbury Hill, the pyramid with the stone circles, and all that is in reach of me. And it's lovely there. It's just a nice feeling there. And so I live in a place where I can see all these things quite easily. But
you have a park. You live like right by a really cool park too.
Yeah, it's a lake which I walk my dog around.
Oh,
lovely, just beautiful. So,
have you been to the States, Karen?
Yeah, I have. When I was sweet 16.
Oh,
my aunt lived in San Jose, and I spent 6 weeks there. And I was saying it the other day. Went to Los Angeles. Stayed in one of those motels. Went to Disneyland, Universal Studios, Santa Cruz, San Francisco. Oh, and everybody had a swimming pool. We were on roller skates. We were going to Pizza Hut. I was having ice cream. It was like a whole shop full of hundreds of ice creams. Like, which one?
that sounds really, really good. The way you even explained that I could just feel those memories.
At 16,
yeah.
And then even if you went to any kind of restaurant, it was like an amusement park. Just the restaurant. We don't get things like that then.
Yeah,
well, it's nice that you went at 16 so you can remember it so clearly.
Yes,
and
exactly.
I went to see. It was an all-day concert, and it was Pat Travers' Cheap Trick and Blue Oyster Cult.
Oh, wow. At 16 in America. Boy, I bet all your friends were jealous when you came home and told them about all that.
I don't remember, but I had a great time. In fact, it was so loud I couldn't hear anything for hours afterwards. I actually just couldn't hear anything. The speakers were just so big. Like I'd never seen anything like this. The speakers were huge. You know, if they were going to
Funny.
do that here, we'd probably have a little hall with a few.
Right. Well, would be more intimate, but I mean, you've got big arenas there too. But I remember seeing, you'll know what I'm talking about, Bling Bling. One of my first concerts, I think it was Boston and Styx together. It was in the 70s, and it was at the Sportatorium. Wish I could remember the date, but you know the Sportatorium, does that ring a bell as a giant, mega place for concerts?
No,
Maybe it's torn down now. I don't know.
But Boston and Six sure does. Those are two of my favorite bands growing
And
up.
I don't like them now, but back then I don't think I even did like them. But it was the friend group I was into them, and at 15,
You don't like Boston anymore?
No, not my kind of music.
More
But I
than
went,
a
and
feeling.
Oh,
I love them. I love them.
I have a good story about that. I sure have told this before. It's
Uh-huh.
actually probably boring, but it's also disgusting. So stay tuned.
Oh.
Yeah, I went to this concert. This girlfriend of mine, myself, and our boyfriends who were friends, and it's young love kind of thing. And so we go, and at 15, 16, going on like a double date, that's like something unusual and special. So my mom said I could buy a new outfit, and even into clothes back then. So I went with my girlfriend to the mall, and I picked an outfit out to go to this concert, and I didn't know what to wear. So I even remember low-rise white tight bell-bottom jeans or flare leg jeans, some what were called Candy's Mules, which were these open-toe sandals that are pretty high with a wood heel with just a strap across the front. That was like the hot thing. And some type of pretty blouse. So I'm going to a rock concert wearing a white pretty blouse, open-toe sandals, and white jeans. Probably not the best idea in retrospect. But anyway, the car comes and picks me up, and the boyfriends are driving, and they're my girlfriend and I were, she wore something more normal, like flat like shoes and like blue jeans. I kind of felt dumb, but whatever. Just try to play it off. Anyway, I get there and we all sit down. We have great seats. We're watching the bands. And then all of a sudden, I felt something wet on me. And I said to my boyfriend, like, what? Did you spill something? What happened? And then I smelled, well, somebody on an upper level deck had thrown up down on us. No. So me and my
that's horrible.
pretty outfit covered in someone's vomit, which was that's my remembrance of my first concert I ever went to, Boston and Styx. I just think of vomit.
Did you throw up after that yourself?
No, but I just was, it was just not what I wanted. And I had long red hair even then, and it was had vomit in it. It was just not good. not a good look.
Wow. I guess that person got sick and didn't think that maybe it
then, I mean, not the friend group I was in. The guys maybe drank beer. I mean, I didn't really drink. And there were other people in high school at the time doing Quaaludes. That was like the hot drug of the time. And that might have been drinking and doing lewds at the same time, whoever threw up. But yeah.
Do you want to know a weird time for me about something horrible being sprayed on me?
Oh gosh, yes, please. Tell us something horrible.
I was at this wildlife park, and there was these lions and tigers, and I was about 7 months pregnant. And then this animal just turned around and sprayed me.
Oh, wow.
It was disgusting. The smell.
Oh no!
But what was it? It was kind of like a sexual marking smell.
Oh, he probably knew I was pregnant. She must be in the herd.
Oh my God!
Well, a lot of different wild animals
I had to walk around
have a
with
very
that
strong
the rest of the
smelling
day.
urine.
Yeah, the rest of the day smelling like the smell. It's horrible.
That's so
anyway.
gross.
At least the lion, I thought, or whatever it was, I can't remember now. It was a lion, or it was a lion. Yeah, he obviously thought I was his.
I have a funny story from when I was.
Does it involve something that smells really bad sprayed on you? Because if it doesn't,
no, it involves being totally embarrassed. And in fact, I had to tell my kids this story because I had caught my son doing something one day that he was so embarrassed by. And I mean, being a parent doesn't come with any kind of a handbook. And I just went with my gut instinct on how to diffuse this embarrassment. So I decided to tell him the most embarrassing moment of my life. And of course, I changed the age. I told him that I was 18, but I think I was more like 16 when it happened. But I was dating a boy that on my 16th birthday, he was actually 21. So by Canada, back then, I guess the rules, I don't even know if that would be illegal in this country or not. But anyways, we had been together for a couple of years, and his parents weren't home, and young people and raging hormones and all that. So his parents were out, and we were in his room, and they came home a lot sooner than we thought. So I was panicking, and I remember he kept saying, don't worry, just get dressed, just get dressed here, and it'll be fine. And I'm like, I didn't want them to even know I ever even went in his room, so I decided I had a better idea. So I gathered up all my clothes, and I was naked holding my clothes in front of me, and I was just going to run across the hallway into the bathroom and get dressed there and nonchalantly come out like, oh, I'm just using the bathroom. But as I ran out into the hallway, his dad was actually in the hallway.
Oh.
Bling, bling.
So I'm standing there like buck naked, holding my clothes, and I don't know who turned more red, me or him. But in fact, he had brought home some friends with his wife, and I had heard, then I could hear them in the front landing of the house. And then I heard him say, hey guys, do you want to see my new quad that I bought in the garage? So he was smart enough to create like a diversion to take everyone out into the garage so I could, put my clothes on in the bathroom like I intended. And he couldn't look at me. I couldn't look at him. And nothing was ever spoken about it between the two of us. But I'm sure it must have been a funny story. He probably told
Bling,
friends later on.
bling.
Oh, bling, bling.
Just asking, Lucy, do you have any stories like that? Lucy. Is she there?
I hope she doesn't, actually. Let's just hope she doesn't.
Yeah, she's too young. She's too
I'm so sorry. I do this all. I put it on. I'm sorry. I start talking, and then I'm like,
That's
damn
okay,
it!
my darling.
You just take it off of the mute, because I don't want you to hear all the ruckus. I'm outside, and there's so many cars just driving around and everything. But I have a lot of stories. I don't know which ones you'd like to hear.
The grossest one, because that's what we're talking about.
The grossest story.
Yeah, well, that's what's been the topic. Any story will do.
Well, I have different stories. I think the biggest story that I can tell is the story about women that are oppressed and suppressed, and they're not able to be themselves and show their true colors because of the.
Can I just say something? I'm really sorry. Bling, bling, you're doing your nails.
Well, I like to sit in my office, and I'm like,
Sorry, Lucy.
I'm sorry. I'm just,
I
can never just sit. I can never sit, and I'm like, oh, I can file that nail.
Well, it is
sorry.
It's a lady show where we can feel free to do our eyebrows or nails while we're here. Not that we're not that that's the only thing that ladies do, but well, Lucy has put it into perspective. Something like that, the oppression of a man or a woman, that is a way more important story than some of these gross stories that we've told. I get what you're saying, Lucy, for sure, because that is a crime that takes away your freedom and your reasons for being here. So very true. But on a more disgusting note, somebody in our live chat named Leah Templar says, I have a story. I was in Malaysia in a jungle in an underground bat cave. Torches went on to look up as I looked and said, wow, I got bat guano straight in my mouth.
Oh.
That's right now in the live chat. So
Oh.
that story, that tops all of our stories.
I was holding my baby over my head. I was lying down on my bed and I was holding him up and I'm like, cooing at him and talking at him. And he vomited my breast milk right into my mouth.
Wow. It went full circle.
Yeah,
God.
there you go. But
Oh my goodness.
like my sexual promiscuity is a direct result of my sexual abuse as a child. I didn't have any stop buttons or it was just all very, very common for me to, be doing these things at that young age because that's all I ever knew. So in my defense, very inappropriate behaviors when you've lived through what I lived through in my life. So if any woman is being, molested or having an incestual childhood, hopefully she'll tell someone and hopefully they'll react correctly and put a stop to it and get that person help so they don't end up having very inappropriate behavior choices as they get older.
How horrible that is.
That's a good one. And hopefully a lot of people on television and not just like in regular life, they stop supporting pedophilia and all that stuff because there's so many things going on television that are low-key pedophilia, and that's not cool. They're addressing all that stuff to little kids. They're attacking women, little girls. And that's not cool at all because you shouldn't mess with little children, dude. They're freaking innocent.
Exactly.
And if you're doing that to children, you're scum. You're scum and you don't deserve to be here.
Yeah. Even you see children dressed and they're with their mother or their father, girls generally dressed in these clothes that are too sexual for their age. And it's not all about, I don't mean just like something cute or something trendy. Clothes that literally look like little stripper wear that their parents thought it was okay to buy them, sexualizing them at a young age. And some of the parents are completely unaware that that's what they're doing by putting these clothes on their children, because those are things that are sold in the major department stores. It's just commonplace to have kind of hookerish clothing for young girls. And it's just a bad message. And not that you can't say that women are raped because they're wearing sexy clothes. You can't say that young girls experience pedophilia because they're wearing those sorts of clothes either. But it certainly isn't sending the right message.
Well, what about that store? There was a store in a mall called Sweet and Sexy, and it was a store for kids.
That's just wrong. I mean, who could think that? They should have 500 people every day walking into that store and saying, I object to your name.
Yeah, but I don't think
Pressure.
they do. They just,
Right.
How can you get away with that? It's
I mean, what about Sugar and Spice? Okay, that's an okay name. Sugar and Spice and everything nice. Something clean and simple and pure.
Absolutely. Sugar and Spice is, would have been perfect. But Sweet and Sexy, like sexy? Since when are children sexy? But that's the society that we live in, and parents put their kids into these little contests, and these little girls are dressed up in the most ridiculous outfits with ridiculous hair and makeup and doing sexual dances to Beyonce and whatnot.
I know. And when I was young, my mom wouldn't let me pierce my ears until I was 16, although a lot of girls in Florida where I lived at the time had their ears pierced prior to that. My mother was very reserved, and I grew up myself being reserved. I mean, generally I'm not wearing, at my age, I wouldn't anyway, but like highly sexual outfits. That's never been my thing. Always some level of discretion. Like if you're going to show a little cleavage, make sure your skirt is longer, or if you're going to wear a shorter skirt, make sure you cover up the cleavage a little bit, just to be a little bit demure.
Modest.
Yeah, sure. Just a little modest. I mean, I don't, people should wear what they want to wear, of course, but it's, when you're young, your parents make your dressing choices for you. But when you're older, it's all about your own self-respect. But like you were saying, Bling, your own self-respect can be compromised with abuse that comes at you from an adult when you're young.
Absolutely.
It all starts
Well,
with the kids.
it's the programming, by the time you're 8, you're 80% programmed. So this was my programming that these types of things were quite normal.
And at that age, you
Yeah.
don't know any different, do you?
No, not at all. Other than, being told not to tell anyone, or I would get into loads of trouble, So using the fear tactics are very common in children that are, I mean, mine was an incestual relationship with my brother. So it was in the house, right there under my parents' noses. So, it's, but it happens. I'm sure there's a pedophile on every street of all of us, all over the earth. They're just not the ones that have been caught. It's the ones that
Well,
have not been caught.
hopefully it's all going to be much easier now for people now, because it's much more brought out into the public. But I mean, I reckon nearly every Victorian must have been abusing a child. We've come from a really dark, horrible place. Because it's happened to us, it was happening to our parents, it was happening wherever it is. It was a horrible place, and hopefully now it starts getting, at least that bit getting better, because it's more publicized.
Well, if the liberals have it their way, I mean, they would include pedophilia as part of their acronym, the LGBT, XYZP, like they want to add, I've read articles that they actually want to include pedophilia in that acronym. So it's like, I saw an article about a pedophile who openly admits he's one. He says he's not active. He doesn't do anything with children. Yet he's trying to get sympathy of people. Yet I live just a few miles away.
I'm sorry, no.
I live a few miles away from a nudist colony that has children there, and they live a nude lifestyle, and that's okay. It's crazy.
They're trying to get sympathy from who?
Well, from the liberals, the very crazy liberals of America.
I hear you. So yes, that is correct. Pedophiles are trying to get others to look at them like the LGBT community, so that
Yes,
they can be looked at as, I was
normal.
born this way. But with all respect, no, that is not correct. It's not okay to look at a little 3-year-old and have lust and sexual desires. That is completely twisted, crossed, and confused. It's not correct at all. How are you going to make a family with Adam and Eve, and then how did they come about? With incest. And it's not normal. It's not natural. It's not pedophilia. It's like all that stuff. It's so weird. And it's like these people have come, I'm not trying to like be offensive or anything, but like these people have come into our world, into our reality, and they're trying to confuse everyone.
We're trying to normalize it.
They're trying to normalize their thing, which I get it. Everybody wants their thing to be normalized. I get it. But it's not okay to do that to us down low, like lower hook, because that's why they take your children away when they're little. And then, with all respect, I say this, but they're like presenting all these things in school about LGBT and stuff like that. And little kids have no business knowing about that. You shouldn't even have to talk about sex, anything close to that, to a child, because a child's mentality is nowhere near reproduction. They're here to create and use their imagination and be funny and play. They're not here to, oh, I have to make babies. I have to like change the world and make sure I populate. They're not here for that. You put two 16-year-olds in a room, they will know what to do. So don't confuse them and put things in their mind, So pedophilia is everywhere. It's in as simple as a toy that looks like a penis. you know, but they masqueraded with all these little things around it because children don't look at things like that. They look at it like, oh, it's a microphone, you know. But then these psychopaths, they come and they twist things around and they sexualize these children since they're little without the children knowing, because it's going in their mind already on the Disney Channel and all this stuff that they're watching. Not just the Disney Channel, other things, the television and the radio. Because there's the life before the internet and then there's the life after the internet. It's two different lives. It's like two different realities. There's two separate, it's like a spiritual thing. And they came and they split up the children, they split up their minds, and they put some type of virus in their head. And now everyone's infected. And I'm not trying to say it like in a bad thing, like, oh my God, like cooties, you know, but it's like everyone's infected and everyone is confused, but they don't know that they're confused. And it's not okay for you to be a pedophile and say, I was born this way. No, I'm sorry, you were not born that way. Something happened to you that twisted you, that made you feel like that, because it's not normal to have those desires towards a child. Physically, it's not even possible. So why would it be biologically okay? It's all just something that has been transformed and manufactured, and people are so out of sense with themselves that they can't even look at it like that. They don't even feel it that way. And as much as you try to wake them up, they're just still going to continue to put little children should be children. Little girls should not be dressed in little tank tops and little short shorts and little high heels and little mini pageants, you know. And little boys shouldn't either, because little kids, there's a stage for everything. There's the stage of being a kid, a toddler, you know, like you're a little infant, then you're a toddler, then you're a kid, and then this and then that, like that. Everything has to go in its proper function, because you can't introduce something into like you can't introduce big adult things into a little kid, because it's not going to work. The program is not the programming, it's the programming, because the mind is a machine, and you can't put the wrong software in there because you're going to fuck it up. So you have to do it correctly, and that's what these people are trying to do. They're trying to fuck us up, you know. And I say that with respect, because I'm not here to criticize or point fingers or anything like that. I love everyone, you know, no matter what they are, no matter what they look like. As long as they have good intentions, that's what's up. But I don't agree with the people that are doing this to us low-key when they're being sneaky about it. That's not cool. And they're trying to take your children away. And you need to wake up, women and men. Wake up and be angry, because these people are trying to take your children away. Don't you see that? Do people not see that? Do people not care about their children? And everyone is worried about stupid shit that doesn't matter.
Yeah. If it's not the ice bucket challenge, it's whatever else that they've come up with to distract us with. And meanwhile, the real problems are occurring, you know, in schools, after school. It's not just what that used to be when I was young. When people weren't really, there was divorce in the 70s, but it just wasn't as common as it is now. And then we've got a lot of what they would call latchkey kids who don't have, you know, two parents at home, or they come home to a house and just turn the TV on and grab whatever they want out of the fridge and throw it in the microwave. There's no supervision. There's that, but it's been a slow ramp up from the 70s and maybe from the 60s forward to where we are today. But Lucy, what do you think the end game goal is? Why are they doing this?
That's a good question. And I guess there's many answers to that. And there's many things that I could say to that. But it seems like they're trying to destroy the family. The man and the woman and the kids.
definitely agree. But what is their reason?
Patricia, Lucy, that's
Because a man and a
it's
woman together are strong, and if you bring them down, you're
Yeah.
just gonna have. I'm not trying to talk shit, but you're just gonna have a bunch of women or a bunch of men, and you have to have both balance. You have to have both. A man and a man can't make a baby, and a woman can't make a baby. So they're trying to control you, control population control. And if you have population control, you can control their mind. Because this is a powerful machine. The brain is a machine, and the only way that they can control you is by controlling how many people are created in the world. Let's try to control that. We don't want so many babies being born every day. So let's confuse them. Let's do this. Let's do that, and let's sodomize all these babies. Let's fuck them up. Let's rape them. Let's kill them. Let's take their organs out. Let's use them as drugs, donkeys and stuff like that. And it's because they're trying to destroy us. Whoever it is or whatever it is, they don't like us, and they hate us so much. They want to be us, that they hate us so much that they want to be us. And the only way to be us is by taking over our minds or by controlling us. Like
Sounds
having
like
control over us.
Sounds like narcissists.
It's called subversion. It's part of a program to demoralize the, I can't say the word now, demoralize families. It's to break everything up. It's to make you feel worthless, useless. It's all a part of a program. It's like communism.
Undermining personal power, I guess, is what you mean, right? Make it more about the collective. And what the collective seems to want is what's on TV and what's presented to us. But that's only because it's being presented to us. And then people watch it and they think that that's how they should act. But in reality,
if it's always being thrown in your face, you have no choice but to think about it. And it's not because you want to think about it. It's because it's in your freaking face all the time.
Yes.
I mean, what are you going to do? Like commercials are always in your face. Concerts are always in your face. Beer is always in your face. Alcohol is always in your face. Sex, drugs, cheating on your wife, cheating on your husband, leaving your kids behind and going out clubbing. That shit is always in your face. But you never see nice things like be with your wife. Goddess worship is key. If you treat your wife right, you'll have a happy home. If your babies are happy, that's what's up. They never talk about stuff like that. They always talk about things that immoralize you and take away from you, because they can't have this power. So the only way to have your power is by taking it away from you, because they can't have it. I mean, someone that's evil, if they can't have the power that you have, they don't want you to have it, because they wish that they could be happy like you. So they're just going to try to misery like company.
Yeah, it's true. And even narcissism, and I don't mean just people who look in the mirror and think that they're good looking. I mean, the real narcissistic personality disordered individuals, they want to be you. They basically want to wear your skin, but they can't. And therefore they're going to punish you for it. And that seems to be what the quote "they" is that are doing this to us. They're narcissists at the bottom line. Some people call them archons, same thing. They can't create. They can only replicate. They can only mimic.
Do you know something I remember from that hangout we had with Permission to Exist? She says that narcissists would actually like to kill you, but they just don't have enough guts. So they kill you mentally rather than physically.
Very true.
Oh my goodness.
Very true. It's what they do. And also, once they get their teeth in you, they'll never let go. They'll always come back. They'll forget you for a while, go off, do other stuff, and then they'll come back and attack you again. People with narcissistic personality disorder. And Permission to Exist, for those who don't know, is a YouTube channel that, Karen, you've had on here. She is a specialist in narcissism, but she's also a flat earther, kind of like a secret flat earther, although we're outing her here. She has the same thoughts and beliefs about the shape of the earth as we do, although her channel is not devoted to it. So if you're interested in discovering more about narcissistic personality disorder, if you think that somebody in your life might have it and you want to know how you can cope with it, and not become a victim, you might check out the channel Permission to Exist, because she's also a flat earther.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Patricia.
I think narcissists are narcissists because no one else gave them attention. So
It's partially true, or they got bad attention. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was their defense mechanism. Maybe it's the only way to keep their wounds from showing and their pain from being felt by them. They develop this. I mean, there's people who study narcissism, like any sort of personality disorder, but it's a real hard one to get a handle on. You can only look at the symptoms of the sickness, I guess. It's a permanent sickness. It can't be cured, so therefore it's not really a sickness. Personality disorder, let's just say. They can figure out the symptoms or the ways that they act, because they're always the same, but there's really no way to prevent it unless we form a healthy society, back to what Lucy's saying, from cradle to grave, a healthy, respectful society. And that's not where we live, and that's why there's the rise of the narcissist.
That's what we need, but we know that's not going to happen, because that doesn't make money. That doesn't pay the bills of these millionaires and all this stuff. That's
Can I just say one thing, that this is all victims of victims, unfortunately, because the parents usually don't mean to, but if you've had a very, disrupt whatever childhood,
yes,
what happens is the parents don't mean to, but they gain it back from their children. So they treat their children how they were treated as
very
children.
true. Hurt people hurt people. Bottom line.
Yeah, I agree with that. Hurt people do hurt people, and it's not because they want to hurt people.
I don't totally agree with that. You can also go the other way. I'm an empath.
It depends. It depends. You're right. Yeah.
This is true. You're right. You're right. But when you are being hurt by somebody, is what I mean, you can recognize that the one hurting you is a hurt person.
A lot of this has to do with...
my brother was definitely hurt, very hurt.
A lot of this has to do with people don't know who they are. And when you don't know who you are, then all these things, and it's a basement, it's cold, dark, dingy, you're banging into everybody, nobody knows what's going on. That's what happens. You need to know who you are. And when you know who you are, a lot of these things, they're not there anymore.
Well, also this whole infinite space is also about not knowing who you are. All of this lie that we're all digging into is all about the fact that they, in quotes again, don't want us to know who we are or that we have value.
Yeah, they don't want us coming together, and they don't want us communicating.
Well, yeah, it's why they keep you so busy. They keep you busy with entertainment on television and work, and really, you don't need 8 hours of work. Come on. Like, maybe there's so many people in the world. Everyone could work 4 hours, and that's what's up. 8 hours is ridiculous. They do it on purpose so that you don't have time to do anything for yourself. So that when you get home, you're so exhausted, you don't even have time to think or research flat earth or any other topic that you want. So you don't have time for yourself, so that you just get up and do everything. Everything is so hasty. You shower fast, you brush your teeth fast, and you get out of the house fast. Then you go to lunch in 30 minutes, and you got to come back to work. And if you have a family, you barely have time to tend to your kids and your husband. And all your life is all fucked up. It's all backwards and upside down. And a woman can't even be a woman because she doesn't even feel pretty or sexy or anything or whatever the heck you want to feel, because you have to do all these tough things and go to work and stuff. And how do you know yourself? How do you know yourself when they mind fuck you, when they take you away from your parents and they take you to school with these fucking strangers that you don't even know, and they tell you not to trust strangers, but you got to go trust these strangers that you don't even know? How are you supposed to know yourself? You know yourself when you are with the people of who you are. Who you are is your parents, your family, your community, the things that your garden that you want to grow, the dogs that you care about, grounding your feet on the floor. That's who you are. So how do people get to know themselves when they have to do stupid shit that they don't even want to do? Like work, and hang around people that you don't want to hang around. And I'm not trying to talk shit, but a lot of people, I think they can agree with me. you have to go to work and hang out with people that you don't even like.
Oh yeah.
As long as as long as you respect them, you know, because I'm all about respect and treating people right. Just treat me right and respect me. Okay, you don't have to like me, take me out to lunch and do all that stuff, mumbo jumbo with me, be my friend on the weekends or nothing like that. But like at least respect me. So how can you even begin to know yourself when you are little? You already have these handlers who are your parents who don't even know what they're doing. And I say it with respect because a lot of parents have been indoctrinated by all this bullshit and they don't even know what they're doing. So you have all these people telling you how to do it. And as a kid, you don't know what you're doing because you're born here and you're supposed to be like guided in everything. And then you have these handlers that don't know what they're doing and they're telling you how to do it. But how nobody knows what's best for you. Only you know what's best for you. So it's not okay for a government or anyone to come and tell you you're supposed to run your life from 5 a.m. until 6, and then after that you can't run your water, and then you can't water your plants, and then after that you can't do this and you can't do that. Like, wait, why can't I do that? Why can't I
The
do
whole
that? And
system is to
that's
keep
a
you
big part of not
worrying.
knowing who you are.
You've got to be worrying. You've got to be anxiety. The whole thing is
Yes,
stress.
yes, you have to be
Stress.
anxiety all the time. That's not who you are. You were not born with anxiety. You were not born with traumas. You were not born with worrying about bills and stupid shit like that. You were not born of worrying of the cops coming down the street and oh woo 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 and asking you, oh my God, what are you doing? Like, are you smoking a plant? Oh, but you can have this alcoholic drink that's gonna ruin your life and make other spirits come within you and fuck up your life. Like, it's all twisted. It's all twisted completely. So they want you to know yourself. It's very mind fucking. The message that they give you on television to all these girls and these boys, young girls and young boys, older women, older men, middle-aged women, middle-aged men, because they target everyone. They don't let a single age group behind, even the toddlers, because toddlers are there. Even though you don't remember everything that happened to you before you were 3, your mind is a powerful machine and it still remembers. So these psychopaths know what they're doing. And they put it on television and they're targeting every freaking age group. So how can you be yourself when other people are bombarding you with stupid bullshit? You can't be yourself. In order to be yourself, just be out there, be with the world, be with Mr. Sun, be with the earth, you know, don't follow what everyone else is doing because that's not being unique. You know, everyone thinks they're being unique and they're just doing the same stupid shit that everyone's doing, you know?
Yeah.
And it's everyone's confused.
Hey, Lucy.
And, but I get it. I totally get it, dude. This is hell. This is freaking hell. And people don't realize that they're living in hell. This is hell. And that's why it is the way it is.
Lucy, it should be know yourself, see yourself, accept yourself, and be yourself. If you heard that.
Yeah. It should be about yourself, but
yeah,
they don't want you to be you because being you doesn't make money. It doesn't profit them.
They need more clones. Or not clones, but people who are, I hate the term sheep, but people who go along to get along, or people who are oblivious. That's what they want.
When you put it together, it sounds like we've been put into boot camp and they just forgot to tell us.
Well, sometimes I think this is a kind of proving ground and training ground for all of us to try to reach our higher selves and our highest potential and be the best that we can be. And I don't mean get the biggest car or make the most money. I mean, become deeply and truly good. And it is a boot camp to that level. But what you're saying, Karen, yeah, too, definitely. Mm-hmm.
I just mean it's a structure they've put you in, but they didn't tell you. Like, we didn't actually sign up for this, but we did.
We didn't vote for this, but maybe we did.
But we're in it.
Mm-hmm.
And it is really strange, don't you think, this wake up, though?
Oh, yeah.
Wake up. That's it. One day it was like that, and the next day it was completely different.
Yeah, isn't it crazy? And that the funny, not funniest, the strangest thing of all of this, us gathered here in the chat and us on the show or watching it at a later date. At one time, we weren't really awake. And then somehow we saw something or heard something that made us look into things. And here we are today. Why isn't it that the other people who aren't awake haven't seen or heard the same things we have? It's out there. We saw it. None of us are quote unquote rocket scientists. We managed to stumble into this. We woke up. Well, we're still awakening. None of us are really awakened, but why can't everyone do it? What is stopping us? I say it's all the stuff Lucy's been talking about, and Bling Bling and everyone. The programming, the lie system, that's what's stopping us. They are trying to keep us asleep at all cost, even to the point of sacrificing children.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. A lot of people sacrifice their children. You don't necessarily sacrifice your children after they're born. A lot of people sacrifice their children by not having children, because money is slavery. Work is slavery, and money is a leash. And a lot of women don't have babies because they don't have money, or they don't have a man, or they don't have this, and even men, because they don't have a good woman to find, or whatever the heck it is. And it's all population control, because the more people that you have that are awake, like with a level 10 consciousness, like they're going to be doomed, and they are very afraid because their time is coming up. And there's a car interrupting me because the Matrix doesn't want me to give you this message. But their time is coming up, and they're just doing everything that they can. It's like a movie, like the Matrix movie, and they put all these agents out there to stop you and stuff like that, so that you don't get bigger, like in the movie The Hunger Games. The reason that guy was angry is because when 2 people survived, that gave the entire community hope. It gave them hope. And they don't want people to have hope. They want to keep you sad and angry and raping and killing and confused and working and distracted. But they don't want you to be spiritual. They don't want you to be concentrating on yourself.
Do you know
They don't
something,
want you
Lucy? Lucy, the hope that they've given the globe is that space is the frontier, is the freedom, and it doesn't even exist.
I know. We're chasing literally something that doesn't exist. Hopes are pinned toward the skies and something that isn't even there.
In my personal opinion, I feel like we're trapped in something, though. I hear you. This is a dome. There's a dome above us. But I feel like we're trapped in here. There's something outside. It's not just a dome. And there's something in here, like the center of the earth. No one ever talks about the center of the earth. What's in the center? Like, I think there's something there. I think there's something there that a lot of people need to know about. And it's like hope. They don't want you to know about hope, because hope brings everyone together, and it wakes people up, and it gives people courage, and it gives people it makes people come together and be one. And they want to keep us separated, I don't know how to explain it in big ass words and stuff like that. I keep things simple, and it just seems like they're hiding a big truth that they don't want us to know about. But unfortunately, we already know, and they can't do anything about it. All they can do is just try to distract us. That's it.
It's insane, though, isn't it, to do this to the people? Why couldn't we, if they told us the truth, like, flat plane, and we were living off that and all the history?
I agree. Why couldn't they just have told us the truth from the start? But obviously there's no money in it. There's no gain in it, and there's no control in it. That's why.
Right. That's that they want to control your mind. Nobody's ever going to control my mind. I don't give consent to anyone to control my mind or to control me or anything like that. But
I do not consent, pretty much. Yeah.
I treat everyone right. You know, I leave people alone. No one has the consent to treat me wrong because I don't do that to people. And they don't have the consent to fuck me over. And I get angry because if it wasn't for their stupid, when I say there, I mean the bad entities. The bad entities of this reality here. Oh, what do you call it? It's like a, what do you call that when you're in a video game and it's all like a projection, you know? Like no one here has when you're
reality?
awake, it's a reality. When you're awake, it's a certain reality. And when you go to sleep, it's a different reality, even though it's like part of the same thing, but it's a different one. And neither entities have the consent to hurt me, either in that reality or this one. And the thing is that people are not awake enough to know, like, I have the power. I have the power to consent to this stuff. Everyone gives consent to get fooled and fucked over. Yes, you have consent, officer, to give me the ticket. Yes, you have consent, teacher, to fool me and tell me that the earth is round, because my parents gave the consent. Because my parents gave the consent the day I was born, they gave my soul away. You know, not just your SOLE, but your SOUL, and it's sent to the Vatican and all that stuff, and everyone has control over you, like with your blood, because your blood is magical. And so all these people have your consent. It's like they have you by the balls, and you have to come back and get your shit back. You know, like wake up and get your stuff back, because this is your fucking world, dude. Like, why should you be slaving on end every single day to like pay your bills when electricity is free? I'm standing under my tree right now, and I am grounding, and it feels so freaking cool to not worry about stupid shit, you know? And I used to worry about stupid shit all the time. I still worry about stupid shit, but I shouldn't have to. And because I was worried about stupid shit, I wasn't able to tap into myself. And now that I have more time to myself, I'm able to like, oh yeah, there you are, Lucy, the little Lucy, the Lucy that I've always known. Let me rescue you. But like, no one has time to be with themselves because everyone's busy. Everyone's busy. They're busy trying to like go buy the biggest dress that's $500. I'm not trying to talk shit, but everyone wants to look like Kim Kardashian, and everyone wants to look like Britney Spears, and everyone wants to look like all these women because they're so pretty and all this stuff, you know? And all these women, really what they want is to be validated. They don't care about stupid dresses and stupid shit like that. They want to be validated.
Yes.
They want to be loved and admired for who they really are, because this is you. You are the goddess of the earth. You are the one that brings life to the world. What the fuck? I shouldn't have to fucking fight for my shit. It should already be there. Right there. I should just like get up on my fucking throne and that's what's up. I shouldn't have to fight for women's rights and all this stupid shit. And I have to fight to get a vote, and I have to fight to have children here and have them under the water and then have them on the bed and all this stuff. Like I should just be able to do whatever the fuck I want. I'm not hurting anyone. You know what I'm saying? I'm what gives birth to this world, to this earth.
Lucy, you're getting very passionate there.
It's good.
Women don't know that, or they don't feel like that. I don't know. And it's not their fault, you know, because at one point I was the same way, because we're dumbed down, because they make us feel like that, because we have to depend on a man, you know, because we have to do all this stupid shit. I've been independent forever. Like for the past 10 years, I have paid my own bills. I have my own house, my own car, everything by myself. And it's been very difficult. It shouldn't be like that, but it's the way that it's designed. It's very mind-fucking, very, very mind-fucking to the women and to the men, because men want a good woman too, you know, but unfortunately you have all these women that are distracted. They're on the wrong path. At one point I was on the wrong path too. You know, everyone was some people have been of the world, and when you say of the world, you mean your soul is lost. And then when you find yourself, you're like, oh shit, what the fuck was I doing? Like, I have to go back home. And then as soon as you find yourself, you just kind of like start walking back to the place where you belong. And that's what they don't want. They don't want you to go back to the place where you belong. So they keep you distracted
Lucy,
with beautiful
Lucy,
dresses and shit like that.
Lucy, can I say something? They're doing it to women. They're doing it to men. They're doing it to white people, black people. They're doing it to everyone, everything.
Everybody.
Everything, everybody.
Everyone. 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 Yeah. Every race, every ethnicity, both genders. It's almost as if the powers that be that shouldn't be don't love us. And they say they do. But if you love us, why are we still having problems in this world? Because I'm a regular person. And as a regular person, I can tell you how to save the world. And how you save the world is by starting with children and shaping their lives in the world and making their realities a beautiful place to be at so that they can make your world a beautiful place to be at. Don't concentrate on the war and stuff like that. Concentrate on the children, which is the root. That's why they always go to the root. If you want to kill a weed, what do they tell you on television? Kill the weed from the start, right? So why are you trying to fix a broken adult with war when you can fix a little kid in the beginning? So these people know what they're doing. They just don't give a fuck. They really don't care. They do not care whatsoever, one single bit.
Lucy, when children are small, you can have, there's two types of children. There's the one that you tell is useless, thick and stupid, and it has a life like that. Or there's the other one where you love them, talk to them, cherish them, you know, help them, you know, even anger's okay. Spurts of anger are okay. They can sort things out. It's just when you're angry all the time, you know, teaching them. Or the other one that you're thick, useless, stupid, go over there, get away. You know, all it hears is negative things. How these children, these two different children will grow up differently if you put into your children and the one you don't put in. But then the parents have to be taught because they're all victims of victims of victims.
Yeah. Back to the people who are hurt people. I don't mean all hurt people, but that's who's doing the hurting are the ones that were hurt as well. No, none of our parents were perfect, you know. None of us are perfect, but we've got to somehow stop the bleeding.
Right. Nobody is perfect. You're absolutely right about that. But I believe that we as human beings, we come knowing, not just children know, but adults know too. Because at one point, they were children and they carried their quote unquote knowing with them throughout their lives. And adults know what's right and wrong. They just choose to do what's right and what's wrong. And sometimes I want to forgive adults, like, you know, they didn't know any better. But then at the same time, it's difficult because it's like, wait a minute. If you went through this, why did you put me through this? Why did you put these children through this? Why do they put children through this? If they know better. So sometimes I feel like they use it as an excuse to wash their hands.
My dad drank, so I drink. My mom abused the kids, beat the kids, so I abuse the kids. It's not that they use it as an excuse so much. It just seems like instead of breaking the cycle, it's really, we have to break the cycle. How do you break the cycle?
By healing the shame that binds you. That's how you do it. There's a book by John Bradshaw, by the way.
I think you mentioned that before.
He talks about the fact we have an inner child. And if that inner child is off in any way and it's got many suppressed things in it, and unfortunately, you know, we put a lot of our memories into our subconscious and then just walk on. You've got to deal with these things. And then, of course, you know, two people coming together, you think makes a whole, but if they're broken, you've got halves and quarters and it doesn't work. So, yeah, and, you know, that's a book I read a long time ago, but you have to live. You can't just have a book.
So it's like you have two broken halves. And even though you have two broken halves, it doesn't make a whole. Because
if they're not
you
right
can't,
inside.
you shouldn't say mom and dad. It should be my parents. Like for me personally, my parents, they didn't get along very well when I was growing up. So it was difficult for me to come to my parents as a whole, like I can count on them. It was more like I can count on her for this and I can count on him for this. But it wasn't like I have a team behind me that I know that they will both support me. Because they didn't get along, it was like having two different worlds. So my mind was split in two. My heart was split in two because I had to think differently, act differently around them. I had to worry about different things around them. And it was very mind-fucking, to say the least, you know? Because they were not a team.
But your parents are only who they are with what they know.
Right, yeah, they came from a small town in Mexico. And they taught me what they knew.
Or what they think they know. As we all know. Because don't forget, we're living in a place where everybody thinks that we're so super and we're so sort of futuristic and we know everything, and we actually don't know enough, and actually most of it and nearly all of it is a lie. So
right.
Yeah, so we don't really know anything.
Yeah, and it's strange because I don't know. I came from a different country into this country, but my parents, they showed me their culture from Mexico, and I was raised in this country, the United States, with Mexican culture, and then my parents taught me to be Catholic, and in school they taught me that I came from a monkey floating on a ball, you know, through space as an accident. And actually that's what led me to the flat earth, because I said to myself, wait, I trust my parents. I love them. I love my parents. I really, I love my parents. I respect them and I worship them. So my parents, they taught me this, and in school they taught me something else, and that's actually what led me into the flat earth, because I started questioning, who am I? Where am I coming from? Where am I going? It's not just like, who am I? Do I look like Kim Kardashian? Where am I going?
I think that's what they've done, though, isn't it? Through television, is make everything is external. And I, before, when I was really into this, learning who I was in my 20s, and reading and understanding, I asked this question, like, do you live inside out or outside in? Because really, you should be living inside out, because you're inside and everything is out there. But a lot of people are living on the outside, and there's nothing on the inside. I'm not saying everybody, but I'm just saying this is the problems.
Right.
Yes, a lot of people are living on the inside, on the outside, because someone else came to teach them how they have to be. But children, when you're little, you know how you have to be. But here comes the big ass adult telling you what you have to do. And I think that's what happened. They, quote unquote, they, whoever they are, the bad entities, they came and they told us, kind of like the children, what to do and how to do it. And they transformed us and mind fucked us. And now we forgot who we are. These powerful people that own the earth. Now we're here paying bills, working for them, and they're over there scratching nuts and stuff like that, just chilling with the foot up on the chair, and we're over here raising their families and taking care of their kids, being police officers and doctors and nurses and social workers and teachers and all this stuff. And they're not doing anything, because all they have to do is just get a hold of your mind. They got a hold of your mind somehow.
They don't even want children to be children anymore, do they? Look, about the age of 3, they've
Dumb.
got, they want to look, they've got to look, they're looking like grown-ups and wanting, iPhones. It's just such a shame. And when you get to be an adult, it's not that much fun being an adult. What I mean is, when you don't realise how free you are even as a child, because you don't have bills to pay. You can go, going out to the pictures is all fun. When you start getting married and bills and whatever it is and commitments, it's every day. You've got to go to work. You've got to do things. You need the money. It's like it goes on for years. So you don't realise how free you are. And when you're free, all they want you to do is to be striving to be an adult and not enjoying the time where you are being an adolescent or a child.
Yeah, you want to be an adult. But Karen, you don't want to be an adult because you want to be an adult. You know why you want to be an adult? You want to be an adult because when you're a kid, you're like, let's go over there. And then mom is like, no, don't go too far, guys. That's too far. I can't see you. But guess what? If you were an adult, you can run that far and even further than that. That's why kids want to be an adult. They don't want to be adult because they want to pay bills and get up at 6 in the morning, get up at 4 in the morning and drive 2 hours to Los Angeles through the traffic and then get there at 7.
Do you know what children are taught? Being an adult is free. You're free, but you're not. It's the complete opposite. They think
Right.
That's the problem. Well, they want to be free because children should be free. That's why they take them away from you. And that's why they don't want you to have children. Because children will change the world with their sensitivity, their compassion, their love.
Oh dear, this is beginning to sound like Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
A what?
I loved that movie.
The film Chitty Chitty Bang Bang with the child catcher.
Yeah.
The Bang Bang?
Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, a movie that had, I believe, Julie Andrews and Dick Van Dyke in it. It probably came out in the 70s, and it was a musical for kids, a Disney musical, but there was a character in there called the child catcher, the bad guy who would actually literally catch children. So
he was going to this child like, here, kitty, kitty kind of thing. And the child just sees flowers and sweets and then entices them into the cage. And then suddenly all that falls off and it's a cage. He's caught the kid.
There's been an agenda like Lucy's been talking about for years in the making to get us where we are today. And you were talking about how they don't really want women to have children. They're, the almost like a pro-abortion push. But my mom, when she was pregnant with me, prior to me, my mother had a miscarriage. She had lots of morning sickness and a miscarriage. And the doctor put her on a drug called diethylstilbestrol, medication that was used in the time frame of when I was born in 1963. And this thing is known as DES, so you don't have to say diethylstilbestrol. But anyway, it supposedly would help a woman carry a child full term and supposedly help prevent morning sickness. But in reality, what it did was cause a lot of babies to spontaneously abort. And if you actually managed to get born, your female or male reproductive tract, nothing that you could see upon inspection, but way up, could be compromised.
Patricia, what you're saying is basically they've been because now there's autism and stuff. So, but basically they've been experimenting on us for years.
Yep, and that was to make sure less children were born, and if they were born, they probably couldn't have children of their own. My brother, unable to father a child. Not that he's tried, but I know he's had lots of girlfriends, and he said he's had lots of accidents, but never got anybody pregnant. And myself, upon my first gynecological examination as a young woman, was told, not that I couldn't have children, but was told that your uterus is slightly different. And of course, I can't see my own uterus. No one can see it unless you're a doctor with what the thing is called? Bling, bling, like clamps or something they open you up with. But anyway, they said it had a cuff on it, like a cuff on a sweater. And so therefore the uterus itself was smaller than normal and might not be able to carry a baby full term. So that speculum, that's it, speculum. It's like a clampy thing they put inside you and then expand you. But I've told this story before, but I look now as that story, which my mother told me as just a bad thing where science thought they were doing good and it turned out to be bad, as actually maybe being an agenda, one of many at play at that time, especially in the 60s and 70s.
And Canada did the same thing with thalidomide, with the drug that did the same thing. Kids were born with no hands, no arms.
And that would
zone,
and that would make those children grow up to be adults who would be less likely maybe to marry and have children themselves because of the social unacceptable aspect of
just
how they
sounds
look.
like warfare on the people.
It is warfare on the people.
It's just depopulation on everyone. Yeah, because if your kid if something's wrong with your child, you're going to spend money on that because you, as a loving parent that you are, because you are real and you have feelings unlike these entities, you're going to want to save your child. So you're going to do everything in your hands, everything in your power that you're able to do to save this life, even if you have to give your own life. And as soon as you give up your own life, guess who's going to take care of your child? The government. It's all mind fucking. They don't give a fuck about you. Why don't they send their kids to war? Why don't they send their kids to experiments to get injected by all these vaccines and shit? Because
Well, some of their kids do go to war, like George Bush Sr. But when you look into the backstory of that, it wasn't what they tell us. And I think even Prince Harry was at war at one point. I don't know. But, these people aren't coming home with bullet wounds or a leg blown off or anything like that. It's for show. War for show. Wars they put on.
Yeah, the wars just shouldn't exist now, like, at all. We shouldn't have to worry about the war. Everyone should just love each other. There should just, instead of, there being a wall between countries, there should just be hey, what's up? What are you doing here? Oh, I'm just here to visit. Okay, that's what's up. Like a handshake type of thing, You have to go through all these documents, through all these searches of your, you gotta go through your suitcase and all this stuff. It's fuck, man. It doesn't even seem like we're human anymore. The Jetsons was real. They were programming us for the shit.
Whenever I fly, just even the fact that you have to stand there with your shoes off to check to make sure you're not a shoe bomber, which was a fake story anyway, is all about humiliating us, all about making us strip down in public, and about humiliation, not about protecting us from hijackers or shoe bombers.
You're right, Patricia. That's a really good word. That's a really good term you used there. Strip down. It is like stripping down. And a lot of people have a problem with that. Even taking your shoes or your socks off can be very traumatizing to someone because it triggers you, and it's just you don't like that. You don't like the feeling that it makes you feel like you're being violated.
And look at the quality of the people that they actually hired for that new government branch to be TWA. Is it TWA? Yeah, they make $9 an hour. This high school education, no higher level of education required, and they have more power than pretty much anyone at the airport. And then these people, how many times have they caught them now? Before when they were hiding themselves away in rooms, looking at the screening cameras and the x-ray machine and then the advanced ones, and they caught that guy with his pants down looking at women. If it's so important for our safety, why wouldn't they have made it that you had to have some actual job skills to be hired to do that job?
Yes, Bling Bling.
Isn't that kind of weird? Such an important job as far as they're concerned. And they hired everybody and anyone to do this job. I mean, my husband, he's a customs officer and they have more power than he does. And they're, they're
because
just
it's
like
still
high
all
school,
part of this
high school
program, though,
flunkies.
isn't it? It's just part of this big program.
Uh-huh.
It's just incredible. It's almost unreal when you think about what they've done.
Yeah, I hate that part of travel is having to, like you said, Patricia, take your freaking shoes off and all of that. It's so nice when you get to go through the speed pass, I think it's called, where you just don't have to get checked at all. You just get to go right through. You put your bag through the machine and off you go. You don't have to go through the X-ray machine or anything. It's lovely.
Can I just say, ladies, that we've been going for nearly 3 hours now.
No, really? Where'd that go?
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, it's been great.
What happened to Roxanne? Is she a computer problem?
Yeah, internet issues.
Oh.
She got on with her phone and then it threw her off, and she was a bit upset that she couldn't get back on.
Oh, well, that's a shame. Hopefully she'll get that sorted out.
Well, does each one of you want to have a few minutes to say anything you want to say, leaving, ending the hangout? Like Lucy Lemons, start with you.
Thank you.
Pleasure, my darling. Mwah.
I appreciate you, Karen. Thank you very much. I'm very happy to have met you and all these wonderful flattered people, because my life changed when I became a flat earther, and it also made me a little bit lonely, not because I'm a lonely person, but because it just isolates you a little bit. And it's always nice to count on you guys. Thank you. But I just want to tell all the women out there in the world that I know what it feels like to be oppressed and suppressed and all that stuff. And you shouldn't have to fight for something that already belongs to you. So don't be afraid to speak up and say what you feel. And just always be true to yourself, be genuine, be your best friend, because you're very strong. And
Oh, we're all very strong
and
ladies
if there's
here
anyone
today.
out, if there's anyone there that could have your back, I think that the best person that could have your back is yourself. So just always be who you are, and know that there's a way out. Know that there's a way out. If there's anyone that would like to talk to me, that would be cool. Hi, my name is Lucy Lemons. I always have like 10 pals. I don't have the best. I mean, I don't know what time you guys. I don't have the best schedule or whatever. But if you guys ever want to say hi to me, that's cool.
Hey.
I'm very down to earth, and hey, oh, can I have some water? I'm very down to earth, and I hope that everyone knows that if you're a girl in the flat earth, don't feel embarrassed to come out. I know there's not a lot of girls, and it's not easy to put yourself out there. It really isn't. It's not easy for me, for real deal. Even though you might say, "Wait, whatever, Lucia, you have all these videos on your channel, and you go on Sun and Moon, and you do this and that." And you say this and that, but I'm telling you, the person that I am is letting you know that this is not easy for me. So if I can do it,
big hugs, Lucy.
you can do it.
Yeah, a bit out of your comfort zone, but you'll do it because it's for the greater. Because you want the truth out. Anyway, thank you for that. Bling Bling.
Oh, thanks for having me on. Thanks to the panel. Thanks to the chat. Hopefully, people will get their tickets quickly to the convention, because it's going to be a great time.
Well, hey, thank you, Bling Bling. Is our Patricia there? Patricia, the other Patricia. Is she going to unmute herself?
Sleeping.
No, she was in the chat room a minute ago.
Yeah, I'm here.
Ah.
Yeah.
Hi, Patricia again.
Oh, I'm here.
Hello, my darling. Any final
Did you
words?
want me for some?
You're echoing a
Hello.
little bit. Your connection. Did you hear that,
She's a,
Patricia?
she's a woman of few words.
I must go away.
Oh, Patricia's got a lot to say sometimes. She just doesn't like interrupting. And everybody's talking. She just, by the time she gets her mute button off, you've moved on to something else. So she doesn't mind. She doesn't mind listening.
Oh.
She's a little devil on the after hangouts. Ha ha.
I don't have much choice, do I?
Oh, she's
I'm only
brilliant.
joking.
She helps me a lot on Sun and Moon. So, mwah. Thank you, Patricia. Anyway, and
Back to you, Karen.
yeah, mwah, mwah, mwah. Patricia Steere.
I don't have much to say other than thank you to Patricia and to Lucy. Lucy, you've just really been so, you're being so vocal within this hangout has really, I hate to use the term blessed, but really blessed all of us with your words and your wisdom and your heart. So I really love that. And as well, you know, Bling Bling, expressing what you have about the way that you grew up and how those wounds really essentially have made you into the woman you are today. And it's just so nice to be around such a good group of people here. And then the live chat's been relatively tame. Just some, I get not even advice, because who am I to give advice? But while you're here in this awakening, while we're here enjoying our flat earth experience, don't ever let anybody try to silence you, to stop you from speaking, to make you close your channel, to put you down, to belittle you, to try to humiliate you. Don't let the powers that be do it. Don't let any glow believers do it. And don't let any flat earthers on the dark side do it. You are here for a reason. So continue to use your voice. You do have backup, and your backup is all of us. Thank you, Karen, for having this hangout.
Oh, Patricia Steere, mwah, and Bling Bling, mwah, Lucy Lemons, mwah, Patricia, mwah, chat room, mwah. Thank you very much, ladies. That was really nice. And good morning, good afternoon, good evening from Sun and Moon. And we'll say goodbye off air, ladies. Anyway, thank you, chat room. Thank you, panel.